what makes you think God is not real? If you were to die now, would you wake yourself up?
What do you got?
Yeah, so are you familiar with any philosophical arguments for the existence of God?
Yeah.
Okay, what ones are you familiar with?
Cosmological, ontological, teleological.
You ever heard of the change dependency argument, first way, per se, causal chain series argument, or anything like this?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think specifically about the change dependency argument, and why do you reject it?
Because change, first of all, that argument does not get you anywhere close to a God, but there's no God in the premises. But more importantly, change is perceptual. It's not a fundamental feature of reality. Nothing necessarily changes.
So,
Change is just how we perceive things. It's not a real thing.
so if a baby grows up into a teenager and then an adult, that's just a figment of our imagination?
No. Yeah, you're not understanding. So when I say change, right, what I mean is that there's like a passage of time. That doesn't happen. In reality, time doesn't pass. Time is relative. And that's why, to me, when you say change, it depends in what context you're talking about. If you're talking about like the passage of time, that doesn't exist.
So you're like an atheist or something.
That would be theorist. But yeah, the point is that change can exist, but be perceptual, emergent, not fundamental. That's why the argument's bad, because there is no first cause. There is no such thing as a first cause. That's nonsense.
Okay. So I just disagree with you fundamentally on the fact that change is just nothing more than like a figment of our imagination. I also agree with...
Look. You have to be able to understand what I'm saying before you strawman, right? I never said change is a figment of our imagination. I never said that.
Okay, so what are you saying change is?
Was that change is emergent, not fundamental.
Okay, so you think change is emergent. Emergent from what?
Emergent from the things that we perceive and see and observe.
Okay, so you think change is emergent from the things that we perceive, correct?
Yeah. Can you give the can you have evidence for God now? Can you give the argument now?
Yeah, well, I mean, before we even get to the arguments, I just want to like really fundamentally establish what we mean by evidence, because I think a lot of people, when they say evidence, they already presume that evidence is supposed to be something empirical. But that's not the only way in which we come to know things to be true. And I think you said something earlier about science being the best way to knowledge. That's just false. Science is the best way to knowledge about the physical reality, right? The physical world that we live in.
Yeah, there's no evidence of a non-physical reality.
Well, there's plenty of logical deductions about the metaphysical universe and metaphysics as a whole. So when we start talking about metaphysical things, science is actually irrelevant. Science tells you nothing about metaphysical entities or metaphysical beings.
Philosophy. You do this logic. You can't use logic alone to get to something metaphysical. You can pretend that there's something metaphysical or non-physical, but that doesn't actually get you knowledge. See, knowledge is what science does the best, because it actually observes the things that we actually can see and measure. That is why science is the best method to truth.
Yeah, so the reason why
logic alone does not get you to truth. It might get you to analytical statements, but those are going to hinge upon the empirical world.
Okay, so the reason why I detest that is because we can obviously understand, not maybe see, but we can obviously understand that there are things that exist in our universe that we can't see. For example, like things like concepts, thoughts, ideas, consciousness as a fundamental property. Some of these things are things that... Wait, let me... Hold on.
We can see those things.
Have you ever seen consciousness before?
Yes, we can see...
What does it look like?
Conscious thoughts. Yes, we see them with fMRI.
You've seen consciousness with an fMRI.
Yes, we can see consciousness through fMRI. We can see thoughts, we can see emotions, we can see all these things with fMRI.
Okay, so the problem with science is that it actually are you aware of the hard problem of consciousness at all?
Yeah, it's not a problem. It's a non-problem.
Okay, I think it is a problem, right?
Okay, well,
The
I see.
problem with science
Look. You
is,
can say you think it's a problem,
can
but
I
it doesn't mean
finish
it
one
is, right?
statement, bro? I just want to finish one
No,
statement.
listen.
I'm not gonna finish one
Consciousness
statement. Okay.
is so look, we have lots of data and evidence that consciousness is just the bioelectricity of the body. And the experience we have, the experience of colors and all these things, those are the processes in the brain. They're equivalent. The hard problem is saying, no, there's something beyond this. There's something about the experience itself that we can't explain. But that's not true. We can explain it through bioelectricity. We can explain it through ion channels in the neurons in the brain. The point is that there are physical reasons to think that consciousness is a physical thing. You don't need anything non-physical. You don't, and thoughts and concepts are thoughts, which are also physical. Thoughts are physical. This is a fact. There's no disputing this. Thoughts are physical, and consciousness is very likely to be physical as well. There's no need to invoke anything supernatural.
Okay. Are you finished? Are you finished so I can speak? Okay, I'm gonna take that as a yes. All right, great. So what I was saying was, what the scientists will tell you is that consciousness is an emergent property of the brain, which obviously isn't true. And the reason why we know this is because mental states themselves don't hold any physical properties, right? Consciousness itself is not a physical property. It's not something that we can see, touch, feel. Concepts are not physical properties. These are things that are extra mental to the physical universe. We obviously understand this. This is the reason why science can't
This is question
explain the
begging.
hard problem of consciousness. It's not question begging, bro. I just want to
It
finish.
is.
Okay.
You're just presupposing
I want
these
to
things.
finish. I want to finish. Usually when people interrupt, it's because they're terrified of what the other person is going to say. That's why usually people interrupt. I just want to let you know that.
Well,
Right?
you're just wrong, right? Like
Yeah. Well, I think you're just scared of what I'm going to say. But anyways, so what I was saying was that's the first thing, right? That's the first thing with science is that I don't dispute the fact that science is great for understanding the physical universe or the material universe, but science doesn't actually get to anything extramental about the universe. And unless you think that the universe is all physical and it's reducible down to a physical state of being,
Yeah. So again, you're
you
just
would be wrong.
question begging here. You're just saying it's non-physical. We know that clearly. No, that's ridiculous. We know that thoughts are physical. We can measure thoughts with fMRI. Again, we have studies upon study about this. You can go look up AI reconstructing thoughts through fMRI. This is a great study that shows us. So we have reasons to think that there's physical phenomenon in the brain producing consciousness. And there's no reason to think there's anything supernatural, period. Do you have any evidence of a supernatural?
Yes, so there's something called property dualism, which makes a distinction between the brain and the mind. So what it says is that the brain is necessary, they have a codependent relationship with the mind, but the mental properties themselves are not identical to the mind itself. So what that means is that mental states of being, consciousness, concepts, properties, ideas, and all these things don't actually have any physical states of being. They might be able to be manifested in a physical way. Like you can have an idea in your mind, and like you can have a physical manifestation of that idea, but that's not to say that the idea itself as a property is wait, that's not to say, dude, you're terrified of me. That's why you won't let me finish. Is that what it is?
No, you just keep repeating yourself at this point. You just keep saying thoughts are not physical, right? That's all you're really saying here. No, we have. If you want me to give you the studies, I could that demonstrate thoughts are physical phenomenon. We can measure thoughts physically. There's no need to invoke dualism here at all. Like we know the mind is, according to the actual scientific evidence, is a physical phenomenon.
You're just repeating this. You've already said this. Like,
okay, do you want me to give you studies?
I've already read the studies that you're talking about. Is my point.
I didn't even give you. So now you're being dishonest because I didn't even give you a study today.
Wait, I know all the studies. So now you're being
dishonest.
No, hold on. I'm not being dishonest. I know exactly what studies that you're talking about. You know that, right? Like I've read all the studies that say that the brain is identical to the mind and that the consciousness is an emergent property of the brain. I've read all these studies, so I'm very well aware of them.
Yeah. Which one am I talking about?
I don't have to reference a specific one. I'm talking about the studies as a whole. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So you don't even know what I'm talking about, right?
How does that translate to me not knowing what you're talking? I just told you.
Name me one study that I was gonna present today.
I mean, I don't know exactly what study you're gonna pull up, but there's many studies that have shown the relationship between the
Okay,
mind and the
great.
brain.
So do you concede that you're being dishonest?
Okay, go ahead.
Great, thank you.
Uh,
So again, we know that there is lots of evidence that thoughts are conscious, that thoughts are physical. Here's a study called Controlled Image Reconstruction from Human Brain Activity with Semantic and Structural Diffusion. This is a study that is able to, using fMRI, functional MRI, able to reconstruct brain waves into images that we can see in computers, right? So we can literally take your thoughts and convert them into images and text on the screen. And this is something that already exists. And this is good evidence that consciousness is physical. Now, I'm open to there being a dualist perspective, but there's just no evidence that there's something non-physical about us.
okay, so you said that the MRI, what they do is that I'm just gonna quote your specific study so that you don't say that I'm dishonest, even though I was never dishonest from the jump. But in your study, you said the MRI was able to recreate on paper the mental processes that was going on. Like, so if somebody thought of something, they will be able to recreate it on paper. Is that what you said?
Yep.
How does that translate to the mental the mental thing itself being something physical? That doesn't make any sense.
Because we can literally record your brain waves.
That doesn't make
Those are
the
thoughts.
mental state. Okay, if you can record a thought, if I have a thought in my brain, right? I say, I'm thinking I want to eat Chick-fil-A today, and I write it on a piece of paper. Does that thought in my brain become a physical thing now?
No. See, now
Oh,
you don't
great.
understand what the study
Right?
was.
You see how
now,
it doesn't make
now you don't
sense?
understand what the study is doing, right? The study is taking your brain waves and using those recordings, converting them into images using AI, right? That's what the study is doing. I never said that thoughts become words on a piece of paper. That's not what I ever said.
Okay, so the what you have to understand with MRIs is that they don't actually directly see thoughts. What they do is they can see. I got a phone. Can you hear me? I got a phone call. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, MRIs themselves, they don't actually see thoughts like the property of what a thought is and it's in and of itself, right? What they do is they see they can like measure like how the thoughts are interacting with your brain and the sort of brain processes that are or the processes that are going on in your brain to create those thoughts. But that's not to say that that process in your brain is identical to the thoughts themselves. That's why we have to make a distinction in property dualism between like the mind and the brain.
Yeah, you keep repeating yourself over and over again.
Okay.
fMRI can
You just
take
don't
brain
understand what I'm saying, dude.
recordings. They can take these brain waves. They can take brain waves and convert them to images. Those are thoughts. Thoughts, of course, it's more nuanced than just one brainwave. But the point is that we can use these machines to convert thoughts into images. We can measure thoughts. We can observe thoughts in every way.
Okay, that's not what the MRI is doing. The MRI, okay, listen to what I'm saying, bro. The MRI is measuring internal bodily states, for example, like the brain or whatever the bodily state is going on in the brain, and they try to map that out, like on paper or whatever the case may be. That's not identical to the thought itself. Okay,
What's a thought? What's a thought?
A thought is a mental. It's a mental property of the mind.
No, it's electrochemical reaction in the brain produced by neurons through electric ions through ion channels. That's a thought. And again, this is something that we can see and measure with brain scans.
Okay, I think we're not getting anywhere with this. We're just repeating ourselves. So let's just go back to the original conversation that we're having. Okay. So, by the way, literally 90% of the comments, you guys don't even know what an MRI stands for. So I don't know why you guys are talking, but so Mike, let me ask you a question. Going back to the original conversation about what was it? the original conversation about the change dependency argument and the first way and all that kind of stuff, what was your contention about it? Like, what you said it doesn't make sense or it doesn't actually get you to a God. Like, why did you say
Yeah,
that?
God is not in the premises, but also change, we now know. Well, Aquinas was talking about, he was using Aristotelian physics to describe the idea of a first cause or a first mover. Now we know in today's world, with modern physics, with relativity, that all things are in motion. And due to the conservation of momentum, everything in motion always was in motion and always will be in motion. Everything in the universe is moving through space-time at the speed of light. Now we know, due to modern physics, that this is the case. And the idea that there's a first mover makes absolutely no sense under modern relativity. It doesn't make any sense because motion is relative in itself. So just as we say everything's moving constantly through space, we can say that nothing's moving through space, objectively speaking. That's why motion, being an emergent phenomenon, which is synonymous with change, is emergent, not a fundamental feature. Motion is not fundamental. Motion is an emergent phenomenon, just as change is emergent. That's why I'm saying this.
Okay. Do you think what do you think about his posit about act and potency and his division between the two?
Act in potency?
Yep.
What about it?
What do you think about that? When Aquinas and I think Phaser
I think
posed
it's nonsensical.
Phaser posited. What'd you say?
I think it doesn't get to God, because even if you had some, we can replace that maximum potential or that unactualized being as something like a quantum state. It's a natural state. We don't need God to have something that is purely actualized.
Well, it can be a quantum state because even quantum mechanics. By the way, I don't claim at all to be extremely knowledgeable on quantum mechanics. It's a very complicated field of study, but to my understanding, even the quantum mechanics at its smallest level, even the subatomic particles themselves are composite. They're not things that have always infinitely existed. So that's the first problem with that.
No,
And also,
wrong.
things in
Wrong.
the universe
Wrong.
cannot be the
Incorrect.
cause of the
You're
universe
incorrect.
itself. That doesn't make
Incorrect.
any
Incorrect.
sense.
Incorrect. Quantum fields are eternal. Quantum states are eternal.
You don't
Right?
know that.
What?
You don't know that.
Well, they are defined to be eternal.
You
They're
don't know
defined
that.
as such
You don't
because
know that.
they are just mathematical constructs of energy fluctuations in a given volume. They don't have beginnings or endings. And
Wait,
there's
that's not what I said. All right, I said that if you look at it at the smallest subatomic particle, they're still composite. They're still made of parts.
no, they're not made of parts.
Okay, what are they made of?
They're mathematical constructs of energy fluctuations. And when you have something in a
Just repeating
superposition,
yourself. What are they made of is what I'm asking you. What are they
can I
made of?
respond? Can I respond?
Respond to my question then. What are they made of?
I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Yeah, what are they made of is what I said.
They're not made of particles, right? They're made of energy. Energy is not a particle. Energy is not a substance.
Oh my God, bro.
Energy is a mathematical construct
Mhm.
of fluctuations in a given volume.
Mhm.
That's it. It's not a substance.
Okay, great. So so going back to the original, because I'm not trying to get too deep into the conversation about quantum mechanics because I don't like to speak about things that I'm not extremely knowledgeable on. And truth be told, I don't know that much about quantum mechanics. I don't think you do either. Like most people just don't know much about quantum mechanics. But so the conversation about like act and potency and stuff, right? So you detest the idea that things either exist in a state of actuality or potentiality, right?
Again, you can describe everything as being purely actualized.
Oh, so you think all things are already purely actual?
Yeah, you describe the universe as a necessary quantum state, and that's it.
How does that?
And all the states we observe are within this superposition of all quantum states, the embodiment of all positions.
Wait, but hold on. You said that you don't even believe that change exists, and you said that under the B theory of time, change.
Incorrect. I never said change does not exist. I said it's
You
emergent.
said it's emergent. My bad. That's what you said. You said that you don't believe that when I say it exists, I'm saying that you don't believe it exists in the way that I think change exists in a flow of time, but rather you believe that change is just an emergent property of our thoughts or our imaginations or whatever. Right.
No,
So that
change as we describe it as a passage of time is emergent.
yeah. So if
Again,
you
the point is this: we can describe the entire universe as a one static eternal entity that doesn't change itself. Change is something that we observe, but change itself, objectively speaking, doesn't exist in the universe. It's not a fundamental feature of it. That's
think
what I'm
ridiculous.
trying to tell you.
No, I think that's ridiculous. I think things in the universe very clearly change, and change is a very real feature of our universe.
I agree things change, but that change you're describing is emergent. And this is just not my opinion. This is what Einstein demonstrates with relativity. Do you know what relativity is?
Sure, I know about the special relativity case.
Yeah. So what does B theory suggest?
B theory suggests that there's no real passage of flow in time, and that the present is real, and there's no metaphysical truth about the past. That's like a
No.
crude.
The
That's like a crude
no.
analyzation of it.
No. The
Yeah, that's
past
what they say.
is
They
just
say there's nothing metaphysically true about the
according
past.
look, according to B theory, the past is just as actualized as the future. That's all that means.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, that's what the B theorists say. I think it's the A theorists that say that there's nothing metaphysically true about the past or the future, but the only thing that actually has any positive ontological status is the present. That's what the A theorists say.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so again, if you can't point out that contradiction in the B theory or relativity, you can't just say, "Oh, it doesn't make sense, therefore I'm right." That's what you just made an argument from ignorance or incredulity, right? You're
Sure.
saying, "I don't like it, therefore it's wrong." I'm sorry, that doesn't work for us today.
No, so it's not really about that, right? It's about whether or not the A or B theory of time is true. It doesn't actually change this God or this metaphysical being that we're talking about, right? Because even if it was the case, like let's use any given property for this God. Let's just assume for a second that God was real, right? Let's take any given property of God. Let's say he's all knowing, right? I think a very famous contention that people use under the B theory of time is that if eternalism is true, for example, that factive statements come to be and they change their truth value, therefore God is not all knowing or something like this. Well, this doesn't actually
Okay, can you stop presenting arguments that I never gave? Can you just give
I'm not
argument
saying
for God
I'm
now?
giving you an example of how
Just give an
either
argument
A
for
or
God.
B.
Give an argument for God.
Okay, hold on. I'm just giving you an example of how either A or B theory of time doesn't actually affect this metaphysical being that we're talking about.
I don't care. I agree with that. I'm
Okay,
asking
great. So if
for
you agree with
God.
that,
I'm
then
asking
bringing
for an
up the B
argument for
theory of
God
time
now.
was literally irrelevant. Now, the argument for God is going to be an argument. Now that we've established that, the argument for God is going to be an argument from change. Whether or not A or B theory of time is true, like I said, doesn't affect the God. So it's going to be an argument from change, and I'm sure you're aware of it. Change is a real feature of the world. Change is an actualization of potential. But any potential that exists has to be actualized by something either already actual or something that's purely actual. You're familiar with this argument,
We
right?
just went over this. I just explained to you why everything is actualized already. Nothing has potential.
That you just posited a claim. I'm not accepting that claim.
Why not? Why can't you accept the possibility that the B theory is true?
Wait, it's not that I'm not accepting the possibility of B theory being true. I'm denying the fact that everything is already purely actual or the universe is eternal. I disagree with that.
Why?
Because there's no evidence that suggests that the universe has always infinitely existed. None. Zero.
Well, there
No
is.
logical arguments at all, actually, to even support it.
Well, there is evidence in inflationary cosmology. There is evidence of the eternal universe, but that's not relevant. I'm not saying that we have evidence either way. What I'm saying is that you're saying it's impossible that everything is actualized.
What?
Show that. If you can't show a contradiction, you don't have an argument here.
Wait. What do you mean? Like, are you saying that you're saying that I'm saying?
Impossible? Look. Do you think it's impossible?
Uh-huh.
The B theory is true.
This is not about the B theory. I'm saying I'm rejecting the idea that everything is already purely actual. That's what I reject.
Do you think it's impossible for that to be the case?
I don't think anything is impossible. No, I don't think it's impossible.
Great. So then
Slim chance.
you agree that it's possible that everything's already actualized. Hence, you don't need God.
Just like how you agree that it's possible that God exists, hence you don't need naturalism.
No, God is ill-defined.
You don't think it's possible that God exists.
I don't know what God is.
Well,
God is
that's
undefined.
just disingenuous then. But we
What's
can go.
God? What God could be a water bottle. Well, then of course that exists. But what if God is a square circle? That can't exist.
No, God is not. God is not a water bottle. God is a
Okay, great. So it all depends on what you mean by God. And if your definition of God entails inconsistencies, I will not accept it.
Sure. I mean, I think somebody came up here and referenced the SEP earlier, which, by the way, I don't know what the fuck she was talking about. But God is an eternal. He's an eternal, omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient being who's personal and stuff like that. That's what God is.
Yeah, there's a whole host of problems with that. Omniscience, omnipotence, omnibenevolence. We can look at the problem of evil. We can look at divine hiddenness. We can look at the free will omniscience paradox. We can take a look at the omnipotence paradox. I mean,
Yeah,
where do we begin?
what's the problem of evil? I know what it is, but I'm saying like, how is that a contention against any omni properties?
Okay, is God all good? Is God all loving?
Absolutely.
Is God all powerful in the sense that he gets everything it desires?
God is all powerful in the sense that he's the purely actual being who actualizes all potential for change. That's what being all powerful means.
So does God get everything it desires?
Does God get everything he desires? I don't think God has any desires.
He doesn't desire us to get to heaven?
I don't know. I don't know what God's desires are, if he has any.
So, great. So now your entire worldview collapses because if God has no desire to do anything, then he had no desire to make a universe.
I'm sure he has desires, but not in the same way that we understand having desires, right? Like any sort of, when I say that, what I mean, do you know what an analogical predicate is?
An analogical predicate?
Yeah.
It's, no, I don't.
It's just relating a concept using the same word in two different contexts. So like if I say, for example, I'm healthy and I say the food on the table is healthy, that's an analogical predicate. I'm not healthy in the same sense that the food is healthy, but I'm using the same word to describe two different situations. You see?
Okay, I got you.
Right? So what I'm saying is it might be the case that God has desires, but it's not going to be in the same sense that we say or it's not going to be the same thing that we mean when we say we have like human desire, right? But I don't know what God's desires are.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying.
But it would make sense under omnipotent being that it would get everything it wants. If it has a want, it gets everything it does, right?
Okay, let's accept that to be true for a second then.
Right. And the next question would be, what does God want us to get to heaven?
Sure.
Okay, great. Now the question is, does everybody get to heaven?
I appreciate the gifts. What'd you say?
Does everybody get to heaven?
Does everybody get to heaven? No, I'm inclined to say no.
Right. So now what you're left with is a being who desires for us to get to heaven, but fails to do it, fails to get us to heaven.
Wait, I'm confused on how this is. Wait, let's accept that to be true.
He's not omniscient, or if he doesn't desire us to get to heaven, he's not omnibenevolent.
Okay, so you're saying he's not omnibenevolent if he doesn't desire us to get to heaven. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, again, this is just going to go back to the thing that I said earlier about analogical predications. And also, you can't neglect the fact that there's first order and second order causes and causal powers and causal agents, right? So second order causal agents have causal powers, and they have active judgment, and they have free deliberation to make choices.
You can't use the free will defense here because
God you absolutely can. You absolutely
no, you can't because God could have actualized a world where everybody has free will but never chooses evil.
Wait, what's the point of that? How does that even make sense?
Why doesn't it make sense?
What's the point of God creating a world in which people only?
It doesn't matter what the point is. What matters is it's possible. God could have actualized a universe where everybody has free will but never chooses evil. Hence, evil is not necessary.
That's no. That doesn't make sense. That's a direct contradiction of free will.
Where? How?
Do you understand my notion of free will?
What is it?
Okay, free will is the rational appetite for a rational agent to have, and let me explain it this way. It's the rational appetite or capacity of judgment for any agent to assess between a given state of contingent matters to come to a conclusive statement. That's my definition of free will, okay? What that means is that you, for example, as an agent, you have rational capacity, or you have you have capacity for judgment. So you have the ability to be able to reason between different contingent matters. Okay, so you wake up in the morning. Like when I say contingent matters, I'm just saying that like something that could or could not have been the case. Okay, so like you wake
Yeah.
up in the
So does
morning.
God have free will?
Does God have free will? Honestly, I'm gonna refrain from answering that question because I'm actually just
Yeah.
reading on that right
Yeah.
now as we speak.
Exactly.
Actually,
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
wait, hold on.
So
let me,
God might be determined
let me
to do the
finish.
things he does.
Let me finish. I'm saying the reason why I'm refraining on answering that is because I don't want to speak on things that I'm not well educated on. Okay, so
Okay, great. So then you can't. Great. So then you can't defend your belief in God because you don't know, right? So why do you
doesn't
fucking believe in this
follow.
shit
Just
if you
because
can't
I'm not
defend?
wait, just because I'm not like okay, what I'm telling you is I'm not educated specifically on the point about God having free will or not because it's a very controversial topic in theism in
Okay.
general.
Is it more likely
That
to
doesn't
you
mean that
that
I'm
God
not
has
educated
free
at
will
all.
or not? Is it more likely that God has free will or not?
I'm not going to speak on it because I don't want to make a point that I'm wrong about. I need to read more on it before I make a point specifically on that. But we can talk about anything else.
Okay. Well, under your definition, I still wouldn't see a contradiction in a universe where we have free will and evil never occurs. I still don't see that kind of world where that's how it's impossible.
Oh, yeah, because free will, the reason why free will exists is because you have capacity of judgment to have chosen otherwise. And when we say good and evil, like how we understand, under my worldview, I should say, how we
Okay.
understand good is going to be goodness is going to be an analogical predicate to God's nature. Okay, so God is what goodness means, and that which is a deprivation or a privation of good is evil. So if you could have chosen otherwise in your capacity for judgment, that's how you have free will. But if there's no choice or no option or that privation, if that
Look, I
privation doesn't even
understand. I
exist,
understand that. Look, listen. We could have had a choice. God could have given us a choice between two goods, right? Either he could have given us choices between all goods, or he could have given us a choice between amoral actions and good actions.
the mischaracterization
The
of good.
the choice could have always been there, yet evil is unnecessary, right?
That's
Evil is
that's
never necessary in order to have a choice, nor free will.
that's a mischaracterization of good. What do you think good means?
You said under your definition, it's what God is, right? God is good.
Yeah, that's my definition. I'm saying, what's your definition?
It doesn't matter. I'm doing an internal critique here. It doesn't matter what my definition of good is. The point is, under your definition, it's not necessary.
The reason why I'm asking you, and the reason why it's important to the conversation is because you're saying that under your worldview, God could have gave us a choice between two goods. And I'm saying, how are you using the word good when you say he could have gave us a choice between two goods?
Good actions like praying, like you think praying, or I don't know, what else is good to you? Reading the Bible, right? God could have given us this. He could have blocked us off from any evil choices. He could have given us a world where there's only good to choose from.
Okay, does good actions equal the property of goodness?
No.
Okay, so we understand that good actions themselves are something different from the property of goodness, correct? So we have to understand, like when you say something is good and God is good, those are two different statements. You understand? Right? When you say,
if you're going to say God is good, God is what goodness is, right? Then what you're saying is anything I do is good is God.
no, that's not what that means.
Okay, great. So then
actions,
good actions are separate from God, right?
no, that's not what that means, dude. Okay, so let me try to like make this as uncomplicated as possible because this is like it might get a little bit confusing. Okay, so goodness, positive ontological item, right? Evil, no positive ontological item, is a privation of good. Anything that's evil is a privation.
Well, I understand that. I understand that all that nonsense, but again, it still doesn't make evil necessary.
Wait, evil. There are some goods that necessitate evil. Some categories of good that necessitate evil. You understand?
Yeah, God could have excluded those things from existing and only given us options of good. He did not have to give us any option for evil ever, because here is how we know why. Can God do evil?
No, he can't. It's contrary to his nature.
Exactly. So why couldn't God allow us to have God's nature such that we never do bad?
Then we would be God. That doesn't make any sense.
Just because it doesn't make sense doesn't mean it's impossible, number one. Number two, this is the entire point of the problem of evil. God could have cloned himself. God could have just made us like him and angels in heaven from the get-go. He did not have to put us through all this evil, ever.
But
Evil is unnecessary.
he didn't. Wait, hold on. First of all, like you saying this whole a bunch of God could have, all this kind of stuff is great, right? But you have to understand, it doesn't make sense. If we were God, then God wouldn't be God. That's the first thing. It's a logical contradiction because what makes God God is
Okay.
that he is the wait. Let me finish.
Okay, can angels? That's not what I'm saying. By the way, this is a straw man. I never said God had to have made clones from themselves. What I'm saying is God could have given us good natures such that we never do evil.
That's what I said. I said that what you're saying is
Great.
that
So why could not God have given us good natures?
okay, if God gave us good natures and we were and our nature was identical to our nature was identical to our properties, then we would be God. The reason why that's a logical contradiction is because the reason why God
we
is
wouldn't be
God.
God.
Wait, let me
No,
finish,
look.
brother. I'm like 2 seconds. I'm 2 seconds. The reason why it's a contradiction is because the reason why God is because he's the one being, the uncreated creator, the co-eternal, or the eternal
We
being
wouldn't
and all
be that.
stuff.
We wouldn't be that. We wouldn't
Yes,
be
we
that.
would. Yes,
Look,
we would.
listen. Forget all the properties you just told me about God, his omniscience, all these things. We can get rid of those and just say the only property we have in common with God is goodness. That's it.
Wait,
And in that sense, we would not be identical to God, and God could have given us a good nature such that we never do evil, hence evil being unnecessary. Again, this is the problem of evil. Evil is never necessary.
yo, Wayne, chill. Wait, let me ask you a question. Do you think there are some categories of good that necessitate evil to exist?
No.
Okay. Do you think justice can exist without injustice? What does that even mean?
Yeah, justice can exist without injustice.
How?
Why not?
What do you mean? Tell me how justice can exist without injustice.
It can. There's no
How can it
contradiction
exist?
because there's no logical contradiction in that notion.
Okay, tell me how there's no logical contradiction.
There is no contradiction.
Tell me how. You're just repeating it, bro. Like, yo.
Can you point out? Listen. In order to say something's impossible, you have to point out a contradiction with it, right?
Okay.
It's your burden to demonstrate the contradiction. You can't just say no, it's impossible. That's your job.
Okay, so first let's define what justice is. Okay. So what's the act of justice? I'm just gonna ask you before I do it.
Justice, I don't know, doing things, I don't know, doing something morally beneficial for somebody, and I don't know.
Yeah, some kind of
I'll take a look at the actual definition.
some sort of like good act, right? A judge thing to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, how could you do something just if there was no unjust things contrary to that? What would the just thing do? And even like what would that thing that
Look,
you're doing?
I don't need to know what a hill is to know I don't need to know I don't need to know what a hole is to know what a hill is, right? This is the entire point. I don't need a counterfactual to know what a hill is.
Wait,
I can know what a hill is without having a hole.
you don't understand what I'm saying. The point in this is trying to demonstrate how.
You don't need the two. They're not mutually exclusive.
Wait, I'm not saying they're mutually exclusive. I'm saying the point in, okay, maybe I'll use a different example. What I'm trying to get you to understand is that there are certain categories of good that necessitate evil to exist. For example, like, do you think blindness would exist if eyes didn't?
Yeah, but that's disanalogous.
How is
Because
that
justice
disanalogous?
is a separate thing from injustice.
I didn't say that it was the same thing. I said that one necessitates the other, right? Just like the same way
It's your
eyes
job
necessitate.
that's your job to show that.
What do you mean? How's that my job to? No,
Why
it's my
does injustice have to exist for us to know what justice is?
brother. You just flipped it because the burden of proof just a second ago was on you. Remember, I asked you whether or not justice can exist without injustice, and you
Yeah,
said
and I
yes.
told you it's because there's no contradiction in that notion.
That's not an argument. You're just saying there's no contradiction. You
Can
have
you
to
point
actually.
out a contradiction? If you can't, then it's possible.
It's not the burden of proof's not on me. You're the one who has to actually demonstrate how there's no
You
contradiction.
made the claim that justice has to exist, injustice has to exist. That's your claim you made, not mine.
Oh my God, bro. I'm actually losing my brains. So, do you disagree? You disagree that there are certain categories of good that necessitate evil to exist?
No. Evil is unnecessary in every category. Evil is unnecessary. Always.
Okay.
Especially if God exists. Because if God is all good, by your own definition, then there is an existence that is not evil.
If God is all good, then what?
Is God all just?
Is God all just? 100%.
Great, then there you go. By your own concession, you have an entity who is all just with no injustice.
How's, bro? Okay, so I guess the overarching point that I was trying to make in bringing up the example of categories of good that necessitate evil is to demonstrate what evil actually is, the property of evil, how it doesn't possess any actual positive ontological property. It exists in relation to good. Okay, so things like blindness, things like deafness, things like injustice, and all these things only exist in relation to good. They can actually exist on their own. Blindness wouldn't exist if eyes didn't exist, for example, and so on and so forth. Okay, so
Yeah,
but
that's
as far as evil actually exists in
you
the
keep
world,
yapping. You keep yapping about this.
as
The
far
problem is
as
that you've
as
made.
far as
I already showed you why it's disanalogous, because
dude,
we know that blindness is hinged upon the notion of an eye. But when it comes to justice, is not hinged upon the notion of an injustice.
okay, so
Yet you show that you need injustice to have justice.
all right.
Now,
Okay.
but more importantly, you have yet to show that God exists.
Oh, so yeah. So the point of this whole argument. Okay, I'm gonna make this point, and I'm gonna address that point that you just said. So, as far as the actual problem of evil and all the causal powers and stuff like that, we have to understand the distinction between first and second order causal series and causal agents. We have to understand that evil is a
No,
result.
you
Evil
can't
is
use
a
the free will
result.
defense here. Stop. You cannot use the free will
Brother, this is
defense.
not a free
I'm
will
going to show you why
defense.
this is incorrect.
This is not a
I
free will
already showed you
This is not a free will
that we
defense.
could have a possible world in which we all have free will, yet evil is never chosen.
It's not
It's
a
a
free
clear
will.
possibility.
It's not a free will defense. I just want to finish. Okay, evil is an effect of a defected cause or a defected nature, I should say. It's a product of a defected nature of a second order causal being who has capacity for judgment. Okay, so that's the reason why evil exists. Doesn't follow that all of a sudden relates or translates back to the first order cause or things we set into motion. Okay. Something analogous to this would be like, let's say if you had like a dead ant on the ground and you had like a pin and you had a human hand, right? Now, if the human hand, let's say, grabbed the pin and let's say he's playing around with the pin or whatever, he drops the pin and then a gust of wind like comes by, right? And the gust of wind blows the pin and like somehow kills the ant or something. Is the person's hand responsible for the death of that ant?
I understand second cause. I understand this, sir.
Okay, so that's
This still doesn't defeat this still does not solve the problem of evil.
how does oh my brother.
Why is it evil? Look. Did God have to make me?
Did God have to make you?
Yeah, did God have to make the earth?
He didn't have to. I guess he wanted to.
So then you can see that evil's not necessary. It's that simple.
Wait, evil. Do you know why? Yeah, I don't agree that evil is not necessary. Or excuse me, I don't disagree that evil is not necessary.
There's no
Well,
reason for evil to exist,
I don't.
especially if God exists.
I don't fully agree with that. I think that there are some categories of evil that or some categories of good that necessitate evil to exist. But I don't disagree with you that evil.
But you just agreed that look. The only reason why you already agree that God is all good, right?
Yeah, God is what goodness means. Yeah.
Great. God is goodness, blah, blah, blah. And then you agree that God did not have to make us. Now, I think that your definition of evil is something that humans do, right?
Uh, my definition of evil is something that humans do.
It's a judgment state. It's a judgment, a value judgment about a human being, right? What they
I
do.
think evil is a result of a defected nature. Yes, like capacity for judgment, and all that.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. So then, by your own logic, do you see what you did there? You just demonstrated that evil is not necessary because we're not necessary. God could have existed on his own. God did not have to make us. Evil is unnecessary.
Some categories of good necessitate evil, like justice and good sight and all this kind of stuff.
But look, you just agreed that God is all just
Oh
and
my
didn't
God.
have to make us to be all just. Injustice is not required. Again,
I don't know. I think I don't want to seem like I'm like repeating myself and stuff. So maybe I guess we can agree to disagree. But the original argument that I was going to present for the existence of God was going to be the change dependency argument. But we can have conversations about the. I don't know if you're aware of like the per se argument too. That's a really convincing one, or the deonte argument that Aquinas posits in Summa Theologica. All of these are pretty.
there are no good arguments for God. I love to see any good arguments for God, but there are none. Aquinas was a joke. He didn't know anything about science. He was a complete idiot.
Aquinas was a joke. Is that what you said, bro?
Yeah, well, for the time he wasn't, but in today's world, retrospectively, yes, he didn't know anything about science. He thought there were demons. He thought there were all kinds of exorcisms. He was crazy.
Nah,
He
dude.
thought
That's some crazy
he thought that demons injected people with semen.
Okay, bro. By the way, how is this like Aquinas did that shit?
He wasn't smart. He did not know modern science. He was a blithering idiot in today's world. He would be, right?
Wait, Venus, why are you so like? You need to get a life, bro. Like you've typed like 10 comments.
Don't insult the comment section. Like, look, give an argument for God or go away.
Oh no, I'm saying like I've already gave the argument, and then we went into like this spiral, like we went into the spiral hole and stuff like that.
I showed you change is not I showed you change is emergent, not fundamental. I showed you the problem of evil. I showed you the B theory and relativity demonstrates that there can't be a first mover or first cause.
Not refutation.
I refuted all of your arguments.
I don't. Okay, all you said so far today was that under the B theory of time, God can't exist, and you said that mental states are physical.
No, I never said that.
You said that change is an emergent property. That's what
I never said because B theory God can't exist. I said that under your definition of change requiring God, that would be false. Because change doesn't exist fundamentally.
Okay.
Hence, you don't need somebody to have that change occur. That's what I'm saying. I never said God doesn't exist. I'm saying you don't need God.
All right. So all you said, or at least my understanding of what you said so far, which I don't take as contentions, I think they're like good contentions. I don't think they're valid though, is you said that mental properties are physical states of being, which I disagree with. And then you said that change is not a real feature of the world, or not that it's not a real feature, but you said that it's something emergent. And then you said that special relativity somehow proves that the universe is eternal. And then you also said that the problem.
No, I didn't. Stop strawmanning.
Okay, what did you say about special relativity then?
I never said it proves it's eternal. I'm saying it points to it, sure, but it never proves it. But more importantly, what I'm saying is you don't need a God for any reason. You don't need a God.
Okay, but the question is not about whether you need a God. The question is about whether or not God actually exists.
Yeah, and if you don't need a God, right, and the fact that upon that there's no evidence of that God being there, that's good reason to not believe in a God.
No, it's not. If I don't need a car, does that mean that Chevys don't exist?
That's disanalogous. That's disanalogous. What I'm saying is this.
Disanalogous. That's exactly what you're saying.
The point is this. Look, if there's an iPad,
yeah,
on a road outside,
yeah,
what is more likely? That an alien came by and produced it and dropped it off, or that somebody dropped it off from their car, right? A person, right? What's more likely?
Wait, that argument supports my thesis. You understand that, right? Because
How?
what the naturalist wants to say, or what the eternalist wants to say, or the special relativist wants to say, is that if the iPad had always been there and nobody put it there, that's what they want to say. And my theory says no. Actually, it makes more sense that somebody put it there and there was some kind of cause for the
Oh,
iPad actually
sir,
being there.
what you don't know the B theory then, because the B theory also agrees that there's change occurring in our world. We agree that change exists. We just don't agree that it's fundamental. Do you know what that? Do you know what a
Uh,
fundamental property is versus an emergent property is?
sure, I do. Yeah, but
Great. So
again,
then you
that's
can
not what I'm.
recognize that I agree that there are causal change in our world, but it's just not fundamental, right?
Okay,
That's the
so
point
let's.
here. So please follow next time.
And no, I'm following perfectly fine, but I'm saying that here's the case. Let's just take it to be true for a second that it's not fundamental and something emergent. How does that negate from the fact that there's a causal hierarchical chain or there's a hierarchy of causal events?
Why does that matter? I never said there wasn't. What I'm saying is that you don't need
Well,
God
it
for that.
matters to the
I'm saying
argument.
that you don't need somebody to cause that change.
Wait, it
You don't
matters
need a
for the
first
argument, doesn't
mover.
it?
So look, the entire point of Aquinas was that his first way was that there's a first mover. That
Yep.
there's somebody pushing the dominoes to make them fall. That
Yep.
is not what relativity. That's counterintuitive to relativity. That's the point, right? The point is you don't need a first mover.
Hold on. Hold on. Listen to what I'm saying. You just said that it's not fundamental, that it's emergent. And I'm saying let's accept that to be true for a second, okay? How does that change the fact that there's a hierarchy of causal things or causal events? And you said it doesn't. You don't even negate that, correct? Okay, great. So if you don't negate the fact that there's some emergent, let's just accept for a second that it's emergent, a hierarchy of causal events, can this hierarchy of causal event regress into some infinity?
Yeah, infinite regression is very plausible.
Oh my God. How are infinite regressions plausible, bro?
Ever hear of a causal loop?
Yeah, and I reject them. I don't think infinite regressions are possible.
Okay, where's the contradiction in a causal loop?
It depends on what you mean by causal loop. I don't want to like mischaracterize your.
A causes B, B causes A causes B, B causes A.
What caused A
B.
and what caused B?
A.
Okay.
It's a causal loop. You know what a causal loop is?
All
It's a
right,
causal
bro.
loop.
Wait, let me put it to
Where's
you
the
like
contradiction there?
let me put it to you like this, right? Let's say you had to catch a bus, right? And new guest, please. This guy can't prove God. He can only prove he's smart. He did. Your comments are crazy, man. Is this like your live? Yeah, this is your live, right? Let's say, for example, you had to catch a bus, Mike, right? But before you caught a bus, you had to ask somebody for $5 or whatever to catch the bus. But before they could give you the $5, they had to ask somebody else for $5 to catch the bus, and so on and so forth. Eventually, you're gonna have to come to somebody that has the $5 that need not ask anybody else for the $5. That goes down the chain of causal events, so that Mike can eventually catch the bus. Correct?
Incorrect.
Okay.
Because
What's the
again,
problem with that?
this assumes the A theory of time. And that's the problem. You keep forgetting that in the B theory of time, there is no passage of time. Time doesn't pass. There's just a long chain of causes which are static. And it's only from our perception that there's change or passage of time. See? You see the difference? This argument doesn't work because you can have an infinite number line, just as you have an infinite number of causes. There's no passage between numbers or causes. That's an illusion. That's the emergence.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess we're just gonna have to agree to disagree on that point. I just don't think
You keep
that.
saying that, but you can never refute it.
No, I think I have refuted it, but whenever we do, we just
You
get
did.
into
You have
this
yet to
this
refute.
loop.
You have yet to refute what I just told you.
Bruh, I think we just we get into this loop conversation again. So, um, I don't know. I think we just agree to disagree, and then you can just invite the next guest or something. But that was a good conversation.
Okay, I'll invite the next guest.
All
I'm
right.
gonna run away. He's too scared to answer a question. I've only seen Kay lose arguments. No, to be fair, he was a smart kid, but arguments are bad. Hey, what do you got?
So, can you hear me?
Yeah.
What's your proof that God doesn't exist?
The lack of evidence, the overwhelming lack of evidence, compared with the fact that there's paradoxes, inconsistencies, and issues with the notion of God.
Well, how do you explain like how everything came upon to be, like the creation of the universe?
Well, maybe there is no creation.
Okay.
Maybe things always were, and you don't need somebody to make it. Or perhaps
you
there's
cannot prove
some
that
kind of
though.
natural reason.
You cannot prove that though.
Well, you can't prove God either, right? All we
Right,
have
so-
is observation, and observationally, there's no evidence of a God.
But why not believe in a God if you also don't have proof that the universe never existed? Well, always existed. I'm sorry.
We have reasons to suggest the universe is infinite. We have inflationary cosmology. Mathematics alone allows it. I'm not saying I can prove an eternal universe. I'm saying that we have good reason to think it's the case, but no reason to think there's a God.
What about like when you die? What happens after you die?
You rot away.
Yeah.
That's it.
You also don't have proof of that, you know.
Well, I never seen somebody come back to life when they were in the casket. I never seen that. Have you?
I haven't, no.
Great. So it seems to be that when you die, you just rot away in the casket, and that's
But
it.
the possibility of a God existing is true. I mean, God can
No,
exist.
you can't just look. You can't just say something's possible and run away, right? What if God entails logical inconsistencies? What if I said a square circle is possible? No, a square cannot be a circle by definition. They can't be the same. They can't share properties. They're antithetical to each other. That's why you can't say that if it's that God's possible. It sounds cute to say so, but it's not based on any evidence.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, let's get the next victim in here. Guest. Everybody, please subscribe to the YouTube. I post all my debates there. I have all my debates going back months. I have science videos, arguments against God. Go check it out if you like this kind of content.
Hello.
Hey, what do you got?
It's real.
What?
Say God is real.
Great. Where's your evidence?
The world.
Okay. Where is he? Where the world? Just so the world exists, therefore God exists? That's your argument?
Yeah, God created the world, created everything.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
Because without God, you wouldn't have the world or anything.
Okay. Have a good day. Hey, what do you got?
Yo, how you doing, bro?
Great.
Right, okay. Have you read all, like, the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, all of it? Have you read it?
I've read enough to know that it's nonsense.
No, okay. When you say you read enough, so I'll ask you again. Have you read the Torah?
Yes, I've read enough of it to understand that it's nonsense.
Okay, so if I said to you the second verse in the Quran, what is it?
The second verse in the Quran?
Yeah, the second surah
I
in the
don't
Quran.
know every verse of the Quran.
Right, okay.
Here,
So
look,
I would
I'm not-
say until you've read enough, and you're saying you've read enough, but until you've read it all, how can you be a judge of it until you read it all?
Because I know that the Quran talks about Adam and Eve, which is impossible. It talks about Noah's Ark, which is impossible.
Why is it impossible
about
when the
talking
Noah's
to-
Ark's actually been discovered?
Really, where is it discovered?
In Turkey, in a mountain in Turkey. See, so you're talking
Oh,
like
really? Okay, great. So, do you have any actual scientific evidence of this ark?
it's been found. There's been ruins been found. That's what I'm saying to you.
Great. Where's the archaeological evidence of this? Where's the
Go to
where's the study?
listen. If you go to Google, you'll find it, man. It's been
Okay, great.
found.
Great. What's the study called?
Okay, so what's your belief that what we just here for no reason?
It seems to be just like your God is here for no reason, apparently. Now, do you have evidence that the ark was found?
Well, the ark was found. There's ruins been found in Turkey in a
Where's
mountain
the
in
study
Turkey.
where is the study on this? I'm not aware of any study on this.
You're not aware because you haven't looked.
Great, then show me a study because you looked, right?
Of course, I've looked. I've
Great.
found. It's been
So then
found.
give me the study. Where's the study?
Okay. You're concentrating on one little point, right? Which is Noah. So you don't believe in Noah, right? You don't believe that there was any. You don't believe there was any prophets.
Noah's Ark is impossible.
Do you believe in any prophets?
No. Do you have
No.
evidence for God now?
Okay. So you as a human being and the way that you work and sleep and charge yourself is just what? Come from nowhere? What is that what you're saying?
No. Nobody said we come from nowhere. If anybody said that, it's actually you. Okay.
No. I believe that we're created. I believe we're created.
Okay. I don't care what the fuck you believe. The fact of reality is we are.
I didn't swear. I'm trying to keep it
We
simple.
are
Right?
biological. Well, I did. We are biological. We are
Okay.
bioelectric beings that are just products of evolution and natural selection. That's all we are.
And
There's no
evolution
evidence
from
to
what? A
suggest
monkey?
otherwise.
You came from a monkey?
No, we share common lineage with monkeys about 50 million
Right.
years ago.
Okay. So if you go all the way back from your mum and dad, all the way back, mum and dad, where did it start?
There is no first person.
You come from a frog?
Look, listen. Life started with abiogenesis about 4 billion years ago. But we weren't there 4 billion years ago, right? We're about 2 million years old as a species.
Okay.
But there was no first person that existed. That's why Adam and Eve is not possible. There was no first person, just like there was no first day that you became.
So where's your
exalted.
knowledge of where did the difference happen between where we are now from what we was?
Slowly through generations. In the fossil record, in our DNA, we have evidence of slow genetic mutations. This is called evolution.
Okay, so if I go all the way back, right? So we go to your mum and dad, their mum and dad, their mum and dad, all the way back. What was the start of it? What was it?
I answered this already. If you just listened,
I didn't. I
was
wasn't
no-
here. I just came on
it
now.
started at abiogenesis, which is about 4 billion years ago, with protocells, very basic organic compounds that then yielded larger beings like us. But
Okay.
when it comes to our species of humans, there was no first person.
All right. Let me get a little bit specific because we're going a bit off a topic what I know about. Okay. So let's talk about the Prophet Muhammad. Okay.
No,
Which-
give me
no,
evidence
stop.
of
You
your
don't believe
God or
him.
go away. Give me evidence of God or go.
1 second. Let's go. No, I'll give you evidence of God because you've had prophets that are talking about him and spreading his message. So you're talking about the Quran, right? Let's talk about the Quran and the Prophet Muhammad, right? It hasn't been changed in 1400 years.
I don't care. It's still wrong.
It's not, but you haven't read it. If you haven't,
I
you
fucking
haven't read
did,
the
sir.
Quran
I
from A to
just
B.
destroyed the
When
idea
you
of a
read the
first
Quran
person.
from
You're just too
Surah
ignorant
1.
to listen. Look, sir. Look, I don't need to read the whole book to know that it's bad. Okay? There are a plethora of verses in the book that are nonsense. Your book says that the sun revolves around the earth. That's not true. It says that Noah's Ark is true. It never happened. Adam and Eve never happened. Talking snakes never happened. Talking ants never happened. It says cow's milk is pure. No, it's not. It's full of bacteria and pus. It says that the earth is flat. It's not flat. So the Quran is nonsense. It's your job to show that God exists. And so far, you're just saying, well, Prophet Muhammad. I don't give a shit about Muhammad. Give me evidence of God or go away. Period. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear?
Shit. Did it too late. Well, anyway, who cares?
I
Hello?
was good.
What do you got?
I am at your mom's pussy.
Wow, that was so funny. I forgot to laugh. That was hilarious. Does oxygen exist? Yes, we can measure its density, its volume, its pressure.
Okay, hello.
Hi, what do you got?
Okay, so just one moment. I'm just gonna grab something.
Okay, how old are you?
1996. I'm 27.
Okay. What do you got?
Okay, so it's a short little video that I want you to listen to. Okay, hold up. Okay, it's a short little video, so there we go. And then you can tell me your opinion. Just hold on.
Gifting to a loved one. This festive season, don't shop anywhere. Told me where God comes from. Please try to clarify how you can figure that a spiritual force can have an impact on a material universe to create it. I think that some years ago we already talked about that kind of thing in philosophical circles at any rate, by posing the question, if angels are made of spiritual matter and a pen is made of material matter and spiritual matter displaces no space, how many angels can dance on the tip of a pen? I have a sense of sort of reversal experience here, but please do, go ahead.
You got 5 minutes. Now, I just want to know which
That's
question.
all right, we may take the rest of the minute.
Which one?
Yeah, I said 5 minutes. Not gonna be 5 minutes. It's a short video.
Do one question at a time. Which one would you like? That was part of the format for the debate. So which
I want you to fill in the story of the rest of the beginning of the universe. God, spiritual matter, impact on material matter.
Okay. So 2 questions. All right. Go ahead. All right. Your question, where did God come from, assumes that you're thinking of the wrong. Obviously, it displays that you're thinking of the wrong God, because the God of the Bible is not affected by time, space, or matter. If he's affected by time, space, or matter, he's not God. Time, space, and matter is what we call a continuum. All of them have to come into existence at the same instant, because if there were matter but no space, where would you put it? If there were matter and space but no time, when would you put it? You cannot have time, space, or matter independently. They have to come into existence simultaneously. The Bible answers that in 10 words. In the beginning, there's time. God created the heaven.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Have a good day. Okay. Time, space, and matter was always there. It didn't come from somewhere, right? There's no moment where you have to have time and space and then matter and then, or time and matter and then space. No, that's nonsense. That's a miscategorization of science. Complete fallacy. Has no idea what he's talking about. Kent Hovind is a joke. Nobody takes him seriously, not even Christian apologists. All right, guys, please go tap subscribe on my YouTube.
Hello.
Yeah, what do you got?
Oh, hi. Okay, so for me, I think there's a lot of good evidence for there being a God. And I think science is actually a good way of proving it, if that makes sense. So a good place to start, I believe, is life itself. Science proves that life can only come from life. That there is no chemical reaction created which creates life, even if we're going to like single cell bacterium. So I
Wrong.
suppose the argument
So this is completely incorrect.
Okay.
Life only comes from non-life. Life coming from life was called biogenesis. That has been debunked in the 50s and the 60s with the Urey-Miller experiment, which demonstrates that you can get organic compounds, the building blocks of life, from simple gases in the Earth's atmosphere. We can also see the chemical evolution that would have yielded modern day life through abiogenesis. This is a very solid scientific hypothesis that utilizes chemistry, organic chemistry, to demonstrate that you can have protocells form from lipids, lipid molecules. They form lipid bilayers in the ocean. You can also have amino acids form polypeptides. These are chains of amino acids which then form sheets of amyloids, which then can perform some of the first metabolism, some of the first replication. This is some of the first living beings that existed, the first proto-life. So the point is we can get life from non-life through chemistry. It's complex, but it's not God.
So, do you think that? Okay, so first of all, I didn't actually know about that. So I'll be brutally honest with you.
Good.
I didn't know about that. When was that? I don't know, experiment, if you want to call it that. When was that done? Roughly.
So there are a plethora of experiments under abiogenesis. The Urey Miller was one of the first ones, but that has since been redone, and there's volcano in a bottle experiment that's been done. But the point is that we have polymerized RNA in labs, which we can produce RNA molecules from nucleotides. We introduce them to phosphates and clay minerals. But the point is that we have done a plethora of experiments to demonstrate that you can get life from non-life. It's called abiogenesis.
Okay. Okay. So I'm guessing that you believe in the Big Bang X, Y, and Z, and all that sort of stuff, yeah?
The Big Bang is a fact. Yeah, it happens.
Well, I actually agree that it was a fact because we can actually see it. I know that. So with the Big Bang, I'm guessing that you're in the belief that there was kind of like a supernova by a like ancient galaxy, if you want to call it. If you want to call it, no, you're shaking your head. Go on.
The Big Bang is merely a time in the universe's history where it was smaller, hotter, and denser. All the matter and the stuff in the universe was condensed into a tiny volume, comparatively speaking.
Well, where did all that come from? That's what I don't understand.
Well, nobody does, but it could have always existed, right? We have a good understanding of inflationary cosmology of a quantum fluctuation yielding the universe we know today from something called inflaton particles, which are produced from quantum fluctuations.
But if we want the idea that matter cannot be created nor destroyed, then where did it come from?
That's the point. Matter is not created or destroyed. It's always there.
And that's what I call God. And that's the reason why you can't prove that God isn't imaginary.
You can call it God, but it's just matter, right? It's not alive. It's just matter.
To be honest, I could fully agree with you there, but I think that's where the argument of can you prove me wrong and the idea that God is imaginary can I suppose be debunked both ways, because we can both be right. We can both be wrong.
Look, you're making a specific claim about a God. You're Muslim or Christian, whatever.
Christian, yeah.
Point is that you're making a specific claim about God with all these properties, right? It has omniscience, omnibenevolence, omnipotence. All these properties are attaching to God, whereas it's much more parsimonious. It's much more simpler to just say there's a natural world with matter and energy. That's it. Right.
Or is it
the burden under that view is way less than yours, because you're attacking on all these properties of God, which are not necessary.
Or is it a simpler argument to make that instead of believing in the beginning matter and the beginning, this, that, and the other, and all these different things that had to come together absolutely perfectly, is it not a better argument to say that maybe, just maybe, there's something which is smarter and brighter, more intelligent and more powerful than us that created all this, and it wasn't all just a matter of...
That's an argument from ignorance. You're just saying, I don't know how this got here. It's too complex for me to understand, therefore God. That's nonsense.
I'd make an argument that it's not ignorance, and rather that it's something... The thing is that I think it's ignorant just to claim that that's ignorance itself. I disagree with you.
No, look, you're not understanding. Look, you're not understanding what I'm telling you.
Just let me finish. A second. So you say that that's ignorance. Okay, yeah, I suppose you can say that.
But every single time that I've said, yeah, every single time that I've said, well, where's this come from? You've said, I don't know. No scientist knows that, at least as of yet. It might get proven in the future. I may be proven wrong, but as of yet, we don't know. So at that point, I think you saying, well, that's just ignorant.
No, listen. What I'm saying is this. Under my view, we can explain everything we observe through natural phenomena, physics. That explains everything we see today. I don't have to add God. God is completely unnecessary. And why that's bad is because you're adding on all these things, these properties to God, which are absolutely unnecessary. Whereas the naturalist, someone like me, who can just say, nah, just the universe. It was always there. That's it. You don't need God. God becomes completely unnecessary. The problem is you're adding on all these properties that have no evidence behind them. So it's now your job to show that there's evidence of God, more evidence than naturalism.
Right, okay, because I think I'm starting to think we're just going round in a circle here.
Yeah, please learn. Look, guys, learn about science. Learn.
Hello? Are you there?
Yeah, unfortunately.
If God is fake, then why did I see him?
How do you know you saw God?
He appeared to me in my dream.
Okay, have a good day.
He said, he asked him,
Hello?
Hey, what do you got?
Can you hear me?
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately? No, I'm here to point out a contradiction. I'm here to point out a contradiction that failed to realize that in the Bible it states that the Adam and Eve came first, but what about dinosaurs?
Right, yeah, what about dinosaurs?
Well, it's proven that they came first.
Even drove here all the way from Granada Hills because this was exactly the route Jack wanted his boy to see. But today, the tracks, as you can see,
You know what I mean?
You should get the Nobel Peace Prize. This is amazing. You've unlocked the mystery of the universe. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presence. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, the phone made it so much better.
Yo. Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
What are you, solipsist? Come on. Yeah. What do you got?
So I just came here to say that you're very, very, very handsome.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, same.
Can I just get a normal guest? Please? Please? Just a normal guest, please? Just a normal guest? Do I believe in psychics? No. Hello?
How's it going, Mike?
What do you got?
Yeah, it's a big question. Everybody, I think it's the most important question out there. Is there a being out there that created us? I don't think we're ever going to be able to figure that out. I do believe that religion, not all of them can be right. So I do think.
Hi. Hello.
Hey, what do you got?
Greetings from... You here? You just disappeared. Okay. Greetings from Croatia. I have a question for you. You said... No, actually, you're dividing God from science, right? Did I understand you right?
No, I'm just looking for evidence to God.
No, I heard you, I think, few people before who tried to say something. You said something, God and naturalism, physics, science.
Yo.
Hey, what do you got?
Oh, I really can't prove you wrong because I'm with our decision. Like,
All right, guys. Everybody, please subscribe to the YouTube. I have all my debates there. I'm gonna be more on YouTube from now on, so please subscribe. Link in bio.
Hello, Mike.
Hey, what do you got?
All right, so you're saying God is imaginary. Can you prove me wrong? What I want to ask you is that where do you think you came from? How was your existence come about?
I didn't come from anywhere. This isn't like Uber. I didn't just get dropped off here. Like,
No, okay, then
where
so
did
what
you-
was the origin of the universe, basically?
there might not be an origin to the universe. The universe could perhaps always be there.
Okay, but it is a fact that the world that we see around us now came into existence at some point, right?
No, nothing came into existence.
Right, so you believe that, call it the universe, call it God, whatever it is, that there is something that has always existed, yeah?
Perhaps.
Perhaps. So obviously, if you go back scientifically, the Earth came into existence at one point. The sun came into existence. The solar system came into existence. And science says there was a Big Bang, yeah?
Yeah, nothing ever came into existence though. Things
But
just changed
there
through
was a
time.
point where the Earth didn't exist, humans didn't exist.
No, because you can trace back the constituents of our planet. All the lithium atoms, all the silicon atoms, all the iron atoms. You can trace back all the atoms that make up your body in the soil, in the air. You can trace them back to stars. And
Okay.
before that, nebula clouds,
Right.
dust clouds in the universe. But over time, what happens is these things, due to gravity, they collapse, they become stars, they become planets. There's a cosmic evolution. And this is all described through physics. So nothing ever comes into existence. There's just changes through time.
Okay, yeah, I understand. So you're basically saying what we're seeing now, or who we are now, what we are now, is just a change of matter and obviously through evolution, basically, you're saying, yeah?
Right.
Right, so you're saying at one point though, in its purest form, it was what?
Yeah, energy, right? Like perhaps fundamental particles like quarks, gluons, things like that. Before that, quantum fields.
Right, so you're saying there is no basically beginning, basically, is that what you're saying? Well, that's basically what we believe God is.
No, like.
But you
Are
obviously
you
believe it in a
Christian?
different way. We believe that God is the origin of all this. So we
Yeah,
believe
that's not. It's nice to say that God is that, but unfortunately, you can't just say God is that because. Are you Christian?
no, I'm Muslim.
Yeah, like you believe in talking snakes, right? Like that's not what I believe, right? So you can't just say, "Oh, that's God, that's God." First of all, you got it wrong
No,
because I
but I
never said
think
there's no origin. Look. There's no origin to anything. Like that doesn't make any sense. There's no origin to anything. Like the universe could have always existed. So when you say, "Oh, that's what I believe," no, you don't believe that. You believe in a guy who rode a horse to the moon. Like you believe in nonsense, Noah's Ark, and like the Quran is utter nonsense.
Right. Okay. I respect what you've got to say. I mean, the fundamentals of what we believe in, that obviously you can talk about that later. Right now, we're just talking about the origin, and which is how we were created and how we came into
There,
existence,
we
which
were
is
not
basically God
created.
itself.
Look. We were not
But
created.
flying horses and talking to snakes or talking snakes and that's obviously that's a discussion that you dive into after you've established whether God is true or not. But what I'm trying to say to you that basically everything that is here right now had to come from something.
No, it didn't. The universe didn't come from somewhere. It could have always existed. Look, just because you can't understand this or grasp this notion doesn't mean God has to exist. The universe could have always been in some way, and then through time it changes. There is no origin. We didn't come into existence, and we're not created. Creation doesn't make sense, according to physics. Nothing's ever created.
So you're basically saying that there was at one point there was an origin, which is atoms and particles or whatever it is, and that changed over time and has become what it is today.
Yeah, that's it. You don't need God. You don't need a magic man. You don't need splitting of the moon. You don't need a nonsense Quran.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but for me, it's the sense that basically everything that you can see of today, you're saying it evolved from something, but then what did the origin come from?
Guys, if you can't grasp the concept of existence eternally, I can't help you, right? Like, you have to work on that. Work on understanding math and science. That's how you solve this.
What's up, man?
What do you got?
So, has anything inanimate came from the inanimate?
Yes, guys, look. Life
Like
is
what?
look,
Give me an
guys,
example.
look, guys. No, stop. You guys say this all the time. Christians always use this dumb argument. How can you get life from non-life? It's called chemistry, right? Look, you don't understand what chemistry is because you recognize that life is not an object. Life is an emergent property of non-life. Life is what non-life does. You're not alive because of what you're made of. You're alive not because of DNA. DNA is not a living thing. DNA is merely a molecule, but why you're alive is because of the interactions between these chemical molecules. That's what makes you alive, the emergent property of those chemicals. It's not one object that makes you alive. So when you say, how can the inanimate come from the animate, or animate come from the inanimate? It's through chemistry. It's a process. That's what life is. Life is a process, not an object. Okay?
But why do you think God is imaginary, if you don't mind me asking?
Because there's no evidence for it.
Okay. What's the evidence of the Holocaust?
Documentation, photos, videos, people's testimonies, corroborating data from thousands of people and governments.
Okay, so what about the first century where they didn't have cameras and stuff like that?
Then we take a look at archaeological evidence there. Bullets, shells, guns, weapons, anything we can archaeologically find.
Okay. What about the giant ship that was found in Turkey?
There was no giant ship in Turkey. That's nonsense.
But there's evidence of it.
Great. Where's your study on that?
Actually, I watched a full-on documentation on it.
So you watched a documentary on YouTube. Was it YouTube or TikTok?
No, I just happened to come across the TV.
TV, okay. History Channel?
I don't remember what channel it was, honestly.
Maybe Fox News?
No, it
Yeah,
wasn't Fox News for sure. Because I don't watch the news.
Yeah, so I would suggest that you don't get your information from fucking TV, right? You actually take a look at research and evidence and data, not the fucking TV, okay? So that's what I would suggest.
So you're saying study like a history book, right?
Yeah, but
But how?
also like research like from actual scientists and archaeologists, you know.
Okay. So what about, for example, have you ever seen a slave?
Have I ever seen a slave? What do you mean?
Like back when we had slavery, have you ever seen an actual African American slave?
Okay, first of all, not all slaves are African American, so that's ridiculous. But
Well, I'm not saying all slaves
we have
were. I
evidence.
know
We have
that not
evidence.
all slaves
Yes,
were.
sir. We have evidence of slavery. Okay, we have
Okay.
like lots of photos and documentation of this archaeological evidence. Again, we have
Well, we're going back to
we have
photography, and back
graves.
then they
Look,
didn't
we
have
have
photography.
graves. We have the graves. We have their bodies. We have their graves.
Okay. So explain this to me. So how can energy make life?
Energy doesn't make anything. Like energy is a property of matter, right? Life is an emergent property of matter as well. Life is an energetic process. Metabolism and reproduction. That's all life is.
So, for example, like we want to get all scientific. So if I was to come up and hit somebody, did I really hit them though?
Okay. Have a good day, sir. Oh my gosh.
Damn. Okay. So you say God is imaginary, right?
Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 18.
What year were you born?
2005.
All right. What?
So how can you say that God is imaginary? How could you explain why we're here?
You're definitely 16. Next. How is God here? Guys, when you say why are we here, we can ask that about God. Why is God here? Why does that exist? Why does that? We can go on forever. Maybe asking why is a bad question. Maybe there is no answer to why. Because the moment you ask why are we here, that presupposes there's a reason. Why does there have to be a reason? Why? There doesn't have to be. And that's why when you say, why are we here? That's a very bad argument. Because you can ask that about anything, especially God.
Hey, much love, Mike, much love. How you doing?
Here, what do you got?
All right. Well, I was listening to you earlier. You saying that we have no evidence. So you like to take your evidence off of basically documents and studies of history, right? Did you know that God was mentioned in every history book that you ever read in your life? You have? When you see BC and AD, it's talking about before Christ and after Dominion when he gained power. Did you know that, my brother?
Did you know when that date originated?
Tell me.
About the 16th century, when the Roman Catholic Church implemented the Gregorian calendar, and they injected this notion of a BC and AD in the calendar. Right? That was added to the calendar because of the church, not because there's a God. It's just a calendar day.
Okay. So what about the disciples, the bodies of the disciples or the followers of Christ that they found? They actually found the bodies of Philip and St. James and many more. They found the bodies of them. And you can go and research this yourself.
I don't care about bodies. I care about a God. Where's your evidence of a God?
See, but the thing is, though, my brother, Jesus was the evidence of God. He was the only physical evidence in flesh that came to this earth that was evidence of God. See, God is a spirit.
Sir, can you stop preaching? You're not going to preach here. You're going to give me evidence of God or go away. You're not going to say Jesus is God and not give evidence of that shit. Anybody can say they're God. Fuck, Charles Manson did. It doesn't mean he's God. Give me evidence or go away.
You said anybody can see God.
Anybody can say they're God. Anybody can say they're God. Give me evidence or go away.
I mean, look at the world we live in. Can't you tell an intelligent being created this design? It's so perfect, and it's the same every day. It's
Wait,
24
hold on. Wait, I can't see you. What? What did you say? We're perfect? I got to get my glasses. I can't see too well.
The design of the world we live in, and the cosmos are perfect.
Hold on, I have allergies. Hold on, let me get my cough medicine. My immune system is attacking itself.
Why you don't think the design of the
Go
earth
ahead,
is
go
perfect?
ahead. What? We're perfect?
Why you don't think the design of the earth is perfect?
What? I can't hear you. Let me get my hearing aid. My ears
Come
don't
on,
work
bro.
properly. Okay, what?
Listen
You
to
said
me.
what?
Listen
We're
to me.
perfect?
The design of the world.
Hold on, I'm choking up my food. I have one hole to eat and breathe from.
Okay, let me explain then. There's 24 hours
Let me
in
drink
every
water,
day.
because if I don't drink water, I'll die.
Come on, brother. Let me talk to you. Let me talk to you, brother. And look, and let me tell you another thing. Look, I'm finna send you a friend request. I want you to accept it because I want to inbox you about something. God gave me.
Yeah. Go. Guys, if we look at our bodies, they are bad. Our eyesight's terrible. I have to wear glasses to see properly. Okay. We have to take medicine to even think properly sometimes, some of us. We are subject to the laws of nature. We have to drink and eat every day or else we'll die. That's a curse. We have to sleep 8 hours a day. That's a third of our lives gone out the window because we have to sleep. That's a bad design. We have one hole to eat and breathe from. People choke to death on their food every year. That's a bad design, okay? We get them autoimmune diseases. That's a bad design. Cancer, it's a mutation of our DNA. That's something intrinsic to our biology. It's bad. Not only are they bad, but we can do better. And we have. So that tells me that if there's a God, he did a bad job, especially when you recognize that mere apes as we can do better. We can improve on nature. What does that tell you about your God's design? It's a shit design. And but more importantly, there's no evidence of a design, period. We know how we evolve. We know why we're this way. It's through evolution. It's a very egotistical thing to think that we are special, that we have to be designed.
Okay, so when you say imaginary, do you mean strictly non-physical?
No, I just mean it's not in reality. It doesn't exist in reality, only in the mind.
Okay, so like what would be like do you like not believe in consciousness? Because that's not physical.
It is. Consciousness is an emergent property of the body, right? Like electrochemical processes, bioelectric processes.
So if it's an emergent property, it's still physical? Okay.
Yeah.
What about like our minds then? How would you explain our mind?
It's an emergent property of the brain. It's electrochemistry, the brain.
So what's the difference between our mind and consciousness then?
There's no difference to me.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was easy. Sorry, guys. I had to get some water because my mouth is dry. What a terrible design that is. All right, let's get the next victim in here. Guest.
Yeah, my evidence from God is the Big Bang that is existed, because if the Big Bang explosion has been exploded, it says in chapter 21 theories in the Quran, it said, do the unbeliever not realize that the heaven and earth used to be one solid mass and then we exploded into existence? So the Quran is proven for God to be exist from the explosion of the Big Bang. Now the science just discovered it.
Yeah, but the problem is that the Big Bang was not an explosion.
So what is it then?
It's a stretching of space-time.
Yeah, in the Quran it said in the universe he made it with might and he constantly keep expanding it. In another verse it said, and
Oh, okay.
and chapter
So,
1043,
so did you know in the Quran it talks about the firmament? You know what
Yeah,
that is?
no, never know.
The firmament in the Quran is the notion that the sky is solid and that the sun and all the stars exist in the sky. Okay?
You talk about chapter 51, 47.
So the context of that verse is not the Big Bang. The context of that verse is the firmament that God was spreading over the earth in a solid dome. That is not the Big Bang at all.
I feel you. You can agree and disagree. My brother, I mean, I appreciate you, my man. I mean, how the way the Christian, how they cursing you out and everything and all that, that's not make no sense, man. I see so many people, they always curse in your face and everything.
Yeah.
And then
Muslims do the same thing, sir. Muslims are worse.
Muslim have respect, my brother. I'll be honest with you.
Oh, no, they don't, sir. Trust me.
Like me, man, I'll be having respect. I'm giving you facts.
No, you're not. You're giving me opinion.
About the explosion of the Big Bang. That's what you science said,
Not
my
a
brother.
fact. It's not a fact.
And you said that the Quran mentioned the firmament. In nowhere, the 51:47, it said, and the heaven we constructed with strength, and we indeed constantly keep expanding it.
Yeah, they were talking about the firmament, not the universe. They didn't know about galaxies back then. They didn't know
Yeah,
about.
but what it says the firmament there.
In the Quran, it talks about the firmament. Do you want, like, I can give you
Yeah,
multiple verses.
Brother, you said the Big Bang explosion, right? That's what your science said, my brother.
No, I never said it was an explosion. That's what you're saying.
Mm.
55:37 talks about a firmament.
I mean, I speak Arabic, though. I'll be honest with you. It doesn't say the firmament. That's maybe how they translate it.
Yes, it does. It says
The
it says the sky is split open. That's nonsense.
sky is split open. Nowhere in the sky is split open, my brother.
Yeah,
I mean-
but this is what your Quran says in 55:37.
55:47. Okay, 55:47.
Yeah,
55:47.
it says that the sky will be split open. That never happened.
I mean, that doesn't mean literally like split open. It just means the split open for the angels to come in, to come into earth.
Oh,
You know what I'm
so
saying?
now-
But
so
remember, the
now-
Quran it talks about that the earth used to be united. I mean, the universe used to be united as one single mass and then exploded.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
not the Big
after the
Bang.
explosion.
That's not the Big Bang. That's not what the Big Bang is at all.
So what is it then? How the Big Bang? Explain the Big Bang.
The Big Bang is a moment in time when the universe as we know it was smaller, hotter, and denser, and then it has since stretched into the universe we know today. That's all it means. Not an explosion. The Earth wasn't there connected with the sky. There was no Earth at all.
It literally in another translation it said what you said. And the heaven and the disbeliever not see that the universe used to be one solid mass. Then we split it apart. It says we split it
That's
apart.
that's not the Big Bang. That's the big. There was no
It
splitting in the
is.
Big Bang.
But it is. That's what the science said. You can agree and disagree, my brother.
There is no science that says that the Big Bang was a splitting. No, it's not the Big Bang.
Even look in the Bible, that is a proof.
How about this there? How about this? Verse 22:65 says that God holds back the sky from falling. That's not true. The sky can't fall.
No, I mean, nah. That's what you read it.
How
in
about what? How about
interpretation.
look? How about 21:32? The verse right after what you said. We made the sky a protected roof. The sky's not a roof, sir. There is no fucking solid sky.
Exactly, the sky, which is the sky, because the sky, look, is to protect us from something that fell and all the way to the earth. Because the Quran said, and we send down iron, and now they have been proven that the iron came from a huge star, which is explode and sent down all the way down to the earth, and went and sink into the earth.
No. This is so wrong.
This is in chapter Aaron.
It's wrong. The chapter Aaron is wrong because guess what? Iron is produced from the Earth's core. It was produced during the Earth's formation. It does not come from stars.
Dude, you can look it up into the Google. Say where is the iron came from? They will tell you. They will tell you. I swear to God, they will tell you it came from outer space.
Yeah, but not the sky. Everything
No,
comes
not the
from outer
sky,
space.
from outer space. It said that, and we send down iron. Allah said that He sent it down. He doesn't say He created iron and earth.
It
He
says
said
the
when we
iron.
sent.
Sir, listen. The Quran says that iron comes from the sky. That's not where it comes from. It was
Give me
never
the
sent
verse.
down from
Read the verse.
sky.
Read it. Read it.
It was
When He
never
said,
sent down. Listen.
can I read it for you?
Listen. It was never sent down from the sky, and more importantly, your Quran talks about many false things as well, like the
So when it
splitting,
when it sent down, when it came down.
the splitting of the moon never happened. Talking snakes never happened.
Brother, I'm not
Noah's
talking to you
Ark
about the
never
split of the
happened.
moon.
Adam and
You
Eve
jump
never
into another
happened.
topic. Tell me where is the iron came from? I just want to tell you.
It doesn't come from anywhere. It formed with the earth 4 billion years ago.
How was formed in earth, and according to science, according to David Menger, he says right here, he said the meteoroid, which is the iron, came from out of space. That's what he said. I'm reading it. He said
Yeah,
came from outer space and it sank
yeah.
all the way down to the middle, to the center of the earth.
Sir, listen. 99% of iron comes from the earth, not from space. And that's not what the verse says. The verse says the sky. Iron does not come from the sky. It comes from the earth's formation. And some of it, yes, comes from meteorites. But most of it does not come from meteorites.
Exactly. You just said it. Some of them came from out of space. You just said it yourself. And it's true about Genesis when Genesis said, "Let it be light." And we know that we know the first thing there was light. And I mean,
No,
it's,
there was no light. Look,
what
in
do
the
you mean there
early
was?
universe, light didn't happen until about 400,000 years after the Big Bang. There was no light in the universe. It was the opposite, right? It was the universe then light. So there was no moment where
It
you can
said,
say,
"Let it be light" in Genesis. It's
yeah,
clear.
that's false. That's false.
It is
There's
not
no,
false. No.
but sir, I'm sorry, but you believe in fairy tales. There's no reason to think that what you're saying is true at all. Light comes from stars, not from God. Life comes from the earth, not from God. There's no evidence of God.
I got you, man. We can agree and disagree, bro. That's all I can say. I appreciate you
I
anyway.
know that's all you can say because you have no evidence of God. You're just saying what you can.
But
Because you're grasping at something you can. You're throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. You don't
okay.
actually have a tangible
You said,
argument.
okay. I'm sorry for cutting you off. You said that the stars made the universe into a light, right? But God doesn't say that. He said in Genesis, He said, "Let it be light." Let it be light. The Big Bang, which is you said, which is you prove after the explosion. That's what it brings light. That's what the Genesis said. Genesis
Sir,
it proves the Big Bang, though.
stop talking. The Big Bang was not an explosion. Stop saying that.
I'm not saying it's an explosion. If it is not,
Okay, great.
that is a different translation within the Quran. That says split. That it says splitting. It
There
says
was no
towards the
splitting
part.
either. There was no splitting either. It was never split.
So you're trying to disagree with the Bible and the Quran that
Yeah.
the stars explode and cause light into the heaven. Is that right?
Oh my gosh, sir. Stars don't have to explode to produce light.
That's what it seems like. And I mean, it's clear in
No,
Genesis
that's
that the Bible
wrong.
makes sense.
No.
Look,
Sir,
Genesis, my brother, Genesis, it makes sense when it said, "Let it be light."
just
Let
because
it be
something
light.
makes sense, look, just because something makes sense to you doesn't make it true.
I mean, you can talk. I don't know. Mm.
What?
I don't know. I mean, hey, man, I bring myself down. All we can say we agree and disagree, but all I know is powerful. It's powerful what God said. They say, I mean,
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
talking
I
space.
mean, for
Yeah,
God to be
it's so
exist is pretty
powerful.
powerful.
It's powerful when he said that we can beat our wives in 434. Was that powerful to you? When your God is a misogynist piece of garbage? Huh?
It doesn't say that, my brother. It
Yes,
said
it
Prophet
does. It
Muhammad said.
absolutely does.
Prophet Muhammad,
You're
he interpreted those verse. He said if you want if you want to tell your wife to listen to you, you have to beat her with the miswak. Miswak is not a stick. Miswak is kind of like the thing that you is a small wood that he mentioned for it. You making the Quran to say it's something else. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't said beat. It doesn't said anything.
So how
You
do
know
you?
what I'm saying?
Okay, great. So according to the Quran, if my wife disobeys me, how do I hit her?
How to hit her? Okay, here.
Like
Okay,
that?
one sec. Okay, I'm
Like
gonna.
that? Little stick?
Okay. The women mention the Quran 23 times. Men mention the Quran 23 times. It's equal. They are equal. Why God mentioned them same number? Because they're equal. The
Oh,
sun
okay.
mentioned
They're equal? Okay, sir.
33
Okay,
times.
Bashir.
Light mentioned
Okay,
33 times.
Bashir, how many husbands, how many wives can a man have in Islam?
How many? One wife, but it's better to have one wife. That's what Allah said.
No,
But
no,
if
no,
you
no,
want
no,
more,
no,
you
no,
can
no,
go
no,
ahead
sir,
and marry
sir,
to
sir,
4.
sir. How many wives can you have in Islam as a man?
As a man, 4.
Okay, you could have 4 wives as a man. How many husbands can a woman have in Islam?
Yeah, because if a woman she marry more than one.
How
Okay,
many
I'll explain.
husbands?
I'll explain.
How
You
many?
asked me a question. If a woman she marry more than one, she cannot know who's that baby father. Who's that baby belong to that
That is
father.
not equality. That is misogyny.
Yeah,
That is
if she gets
violence.
pregnant by a different man, she not knowing who's that baby belong to that father, this guy or this man or this man.
This
It
is
won't be no make no
inequality,
sense.
sir. This is inequality. Your Quran allows inequality. It allows violence. It allows nonsense. I'm sorry, sir, but Islam is a joke.
Nah, brother. I mean, to me, brother, the Torah and the Quran is the legit. It's something legit, bro.
Well,
This
unfortunately,
is how it's to
facts
me.
don't give a shit about
If you
the.
read Genesis, and you read the Quran,
I did. And I read it knowing the science. You read it not knowing the science. That's the difference between us, sir, Bashir. You read the book with the preconceived notion that it's true and that it can't be false. I read the book with a skeptical lens and I say, maybe there's a falsehood there. You're not willing to do that. And on top of that, you're unwilling to recognize the misogyny and the inequality in your book as well. Very, very sad. Very sad. All right, so the next victim in here. I mean, guest.
Hi. I was waiting for a while, so I won't waste up your time. Earlier you said that I know you mentioned something about us being designed poorly, like you were kind of dictating, like just the way we were designed, right? You remember saying that earlier? You said that we were designed terribly. So, my question is, do you believe that we were designed by a God, or are you believing in the Big Bang Theory? I just got in late, so I don't know where. I just wanted to start there.
So the Big Bang has no causal authority to create anything. The Big Bang is not an event that created us. The Big Bang's already still happening today. The universe is stretching, and that's what we observe today still. Also, when you say creation, it's ambiguous. Creation from material that already exists or creation from nothing, which I don't think is possible. But I think what the evidence demonstrates is that we evolved and that from primordial matter and energy, we emerged. And that's it. There's no need for God. There's no need for an authority or an agency to make us. And that's what the science shows.
So I guess my question to you would be, like, if we're evolving, wouldn't we still see, like, I don't know how much we would see to this day. Why would we stay so stagnant for so long? I mean, because to me, in my opinion, right, I see me like, wow, how can we be created? Which maybe, like you said to you, we're not perfect, right? but like you think about it, you eat something, you swallow it, it goes to a perfect spot, right? It's not like we have a stomach, we have a digestive system. To
Right.
me, that's so like you cut us open our anatomy. I just feel like it's almost, to me, it's
Right,
just
right,
like,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. See,
Wouldn't there be so many mistakes if we were just kind of formed
there
from?
are. There are. In fact, we operate on mistakes. In fact, our DNA is so flawed that it generates mutations that then generate evolution. They drive evolution. But the point is this. We have a very valid explanation as to why we evolved. Now, you said that why are we changing? Why are we not changing? Well, the problem is we are changing. It's just a very slow process, right? Evolution is a generational process. It takes many generations to happen. It's not like Pokemon where you go from Charmander to Charizard, right, with a Firestone. That's not how evolution works. It's a very slow progression. But furthermore, yes, I agree with you. Our bodies are complex. We have stomachs, we have things that operate and have functions. But the problem is that we know why they function this way, and we know that there are parameters in which they function, and that if we deviate from those parameters, or if we find ourselves in environments that we cannot exist in, then we die. So the parameters in which our physiology enables us to live is very small. That's why we had to invent clothing and shelter to survive, to extend these parameters. The point is that there is no need for somebody to make us. We have a valid explanation as to how we got here, and there's no need for a man to do it. No matter how complex we are, we can still explain it through evolution.
Is it possible, one more question, and I'll let the others join. Is it possible that, so it sounds like, okay, obviously, I can't come on here. Nobody will be able to prove you wrong, right? You have your facts, you have your studies and how everything is about. But is it possible that, do you think maybe the reason why you deviate away from believing a God created us, more so because of the science that you've studied, or because do you feel misled by the way people believe in their God, if that makes sense, if I'm making sense, because everybody has a different belief in their God.
I believe in things that are based on evidence. And for me, I don't see any evidence of a God. And yes, science is it has a way of debunking these mythologies like you believe in. Science has debunked most of the claims that you make about your God and the Bible or the Quran. The point is, we don't need God anymore. That's why I don't believe it. And it's also an ill-defined thing. So that's why I'm asking you for evidence of God.
Okay. Okay. And then do you think that, like you said, there's no evidence of a God. What was the evidence again, that how we were created? How we were formed, I guess you can say, however because you don't believe we were creating God. So what is the evidence of how we evolved from whatever we were before to this?
So we are made of DNA. Every cell in your body has DNA. And these strands of DNA contain your genes. And these genes can change over time. And when they change, it leaves scars in your DNA. So we can sequence our DNA. We can sequence these chains of molecules, and we can see how these molecules have changed through time. When we take a look at DNA of an ape, or another ape like a chimp or a bonobo, we can find that we share very similar genetics. And we find that it is so similar that it must be that we share common lineage. And in fact, we can verify this through things like chromosomal fusions. We know that there's a specific fusion in our chromosomes that only occurs through evolution. And it must be the case that some point in our past, about 6 million years ago, there was a chimp and human fusion called chromosome 2, which is direct proof that we share ancestry with chimps. And this is a number, it's not refutable. This is a factor, this is a proof of evolution right in front of our eyes with genetics. Mm-hmm. We also have the fossil record, which demonstrates that we have speciated over time through our fossils, through our structural changes in our fossils. We can take a look at homologous structures, analogous structures. These are similarities in our structures over many, many generations, over many time in the geological strata. We can date these fossils. We also have lab experiments like Richard Linsky in the 1990s, where he took a species of E. coli and split their populations and saw that they developed into different species over maybe 50,000 generations. So this is direct evidence of evolution. We can observe it, we can see it, we can test it, and we can repeat these experiments to verify.
Got it. Okay. Do you believe, like decades from now, because as you said, evolution takes time, do you believe that, thousands and thousands of years from now, we will be a different species eventually?
Yes, we will. Yes, speciation is always occurring. Evolution is always occurring.
Well, that was all my questions. So thank you for your time. I'll let you go now so we can, let others join.
Okay, great. Who created DNA? Nobody created DNA. DNA is a strand of a molecule that we know underwent chemical evolution. RNA was first. RNA was a simple nucleic acid formed through nucleotides and with phosphate minerals. This then became activated, became DNA. Remember, this is chemical evolution.
Hello,
Hey, how old are you?
I am 15, turning 16 in a week.
You are 16, going on to 17. Do 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 do.
Hello. So how do you explain everything that's unfolding before your eyes? Like everything said in the Bible, like all the fish dying in the sea, the waters turning red, the big ass hole in the sun. How do you explain that if God is
Where
imaginary?
in the Bible does it say?
So if you're saying God is
Hold on,
imaginary,
hold on, hold
is
on,
the
hold on,
devil
hold
imaginary?
on. Listen. So to combat each one of those ideas, when it comes to the fish dying, that's always happened. Fish die all the time in oceans because of things like summertime when there's less dissolved oxygen in the oceans or the rivers. Also, flooding occurs all the time in your rivers. Now, the last thing you said was very peculiar. You said that the Bible talks about a hole in the sun. What verse is that?
Well, no, it says there will be signs in the sun, in the moon, in everything.
Oh, okay.
Like
So,
everything
so
unfolding before our eyes that's said in the book of Revelations is
okay.
actually happening.
The problem is that how
Like,
did you determine that the hole in the sun, which by the way happens all the time and has always happened,
well,
how do you know
yeah,
that
like
is a
out of
sign?
context, but it's
How
a
do you know that
sign
that's a sign? How do you know that's a sign?
because it says it in the Bible. It says there will be signs in the sun and the moon, and
Okay.
with
But how do
everything
you know that?
happening
How do you know
nowadays,
that? Hold on. Listen. How do you know that particular claim you made about the sun was a sign and not just a coincidence or just something that normally happens?
well, I guess, I mean, out of context, if you think about it, okay, why would it happen? Is it part of the evolution theory that you
Not
proclaim that's going to
necessarily.
happen to where,
Cold spots happen all the time. They literally have happened since the sun was born 4 billion years ago. Sunspots happen all the time, literally for billions of years.
do you have proof of that?
Yeah, it's called science, right? It's called physics. We have observed sunspots for hundreds of years. That's just observational.
So, I mean, so if God is imaginary, is the devil imaginary?
Yes.
So everything that is said that's going on with like Catholic churches. See, I'm not a Christian. I mean, I believe that there's a greater power that created us,
Okay,
but
I
I
don't
don't
care what you
believe.
believe. I want evidence of God, right? Do you have any evidence of God? So far, you failed miserably.
Well, just with everything that's happening, how do you explain, like, so what are you going to do one day when God does come back? What are you going to do?
I'll ask him why. How do I know you're the real God? I'll ask him why should I believe in you? I'll be the same person I am today. I'll be just as skeptical, just as inquisitive. I will not change. And if I have to change for God, I'd rather be in hell than worship him like a slave. I will
But
never
then,
change who I
but
am
then
just
you're in
because I'm
hell.
scared of being punished. I won't change for that. I don't have that. I have enough dignity to not do that.
But then you're in hell for eternity, kind of wishing,
Well,
and you're thinking about your
well,
past life of
yeah.
everything that you did. So now you're
What did
suffering
I?
for eternity.
What I did?
So
What did
you
I
would
do that
rather
was
do
so?
that?
Look, listen. What did I do that was so wrong? I asked questions. I used my brain. Like, what am I charged with? Oh, he used his brain too much. Oh, that's it. You go to hell forever. That seems like a petty God to me. If God loves us, why would he punish us for using our brains, which, by the way, he designed for us, right? If God wants us to love him, why would he stop us from using our brains and asking questions that I need to ask in order to love him? I don't just say I don't just force you to love me and say if you don't love me, I will burn you. That's not love. That's coercion.
Well, I mean, you got like you back everything up with the solid facts that you know of evolution. But how do you know God didn't create us through evolution? There's so many things
Why would
out
he
there
need
that
to?
nobody really
Look.
has true answers of. You go based off science, and yeah, I get it. You have all these scientists out there that think they know everything with the brain that
No,
God
absolutely
created
not.
them to
No,
have.
absolutely not. No. This is absolutely, you got it backwards. Scientists don't think they know everything. You think you know everything. The Christian, the Muslim, they're the ones who think they know everything because it's in a book. Scientists are very much more humble in the sense that they go, no, we don't know everything, but let's find out the answer. Let's
Through
test reality.
hypotheses and
Look. I'm not going to let you slip over this. No, scientists are way more humble than any Christian person because scientists are really asking questions and they're really looking for the answers. They're not just saying there has to be a God and that's all they're looking for. They're looking for the answer no matter where it lies. They're not going to just be focused on disbelief in God. And if anything deviates from that, if the truth deviates from that, they'll just excuse it away and say, like what you just did when you say, oh, maybe God did evolution. This is a prime example of somebody who is so muddied, their minds are so muddied by this notion of God that they're not willing to think freely and critically. That's the problem here. So don't say that scientists think they know everything. You do, because you have it in a book and you think that, no, you know everything. No, you don't know everything. This is why I'm here, so that we can ask the right questions, good questions, instead of just pretending we know it all because it's in a book.
Well, no, you're right. I mean, you are right because I don't know everything, and there is so more that I could construct
So
myself
then
to
give me
know.
evidence of God.
So
So then
that's
either give me
open.
evidence of God or go away. Stop pretending as if you know the answer and then give evidence.
All right, you'll get your evidence one day, brother. Have a good day.
Oh, yeah. One day, right? Look at the cop out that is, right? One day you'll find out. One day God will come down to do it. Well, I can say that about anything. I can say that about any belief I have. The Hindus said that. The Muslims say this. The Buddhists say this. For thousands of years, every religion says the same thing. One day you'll find out that the Zoroastrian God is real or Mithras is real and Zion. Anybody can say that. It's easy. It's too easy to say that. The hard part is to demonstrate that. That's why you still believe in talking donkeys in 2023.
Yo,
Hey, what do you got?
I believe there's only one God, and it is Saliba. Saliba, the centre back.
Cool.
Hola. Okay. So, do you believe in God or not?
Go watch Barney, kiddo. Did the Big Bang happen on its own? Yes. Hey, what do you got?
Hello, Mike.
Yeah, what do you got?
Yeah. I respect all the things you talk about. You're a
I
wonderful
don't
man.
care. I don't care if you respect it. I want evidence of God.
No, I don't believe God exists either.
Okay.
I'm like
Have a
you.
good day then.
Okay.
Bye. I don't care if you agree with me. I don't care if you respect me. I don't care what you think about me. I care about the truth. I care about the evidence. I'm not going to cry if you don't like what I believe. I'm not going to cry if you disrespect my belief. I'm going to ask hard questions because I care about the truth. I'm honest.
Why don't you believe in God?
No evidence.
Well, how can you explain the Bible then?
The Bible? The what? The Bible?
Yeah. Do you think that's also made up?
Yeah.
Because the Bible was written from stuff that actually happened.
Like what? Like talking snakes? Like was it like the Noah's Ark part with the giant fucking ship with all the animals on it that actually happened?
Yeah, that did happen.
Prove
Everything
it.
in the
Where,
Bible is things that people have seen. And
where's
they've
your
like
evidence of
animated
this,
it.
where's your evidence of these talking snakes and this big fucking boat?
The Bible, that's the evidence.
So the evidence, so what I asked you what the evidence for the Bible is, and you say the Bible. That's circular, sir. That's like a circle. Right? I can say that about like what's your evidence of Spider-Man, the comics? Like anybody can say that, right? How do you know there's something extra biblical, something outside of the Bible that demonstrates he exists?
Alright, let me just quickly set something up for you. Just this thing.
All right. Have a good day, sir. People can vote. Hey, what do you got?
Let me see. Let me see. Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go. You want to know the truth, bro?
No,
The
I
truth
want
is,
you to demonstrate the truth. Don't just tell
you
me.
want me to
Show me.
demonstrate the truth. The truth is that you're a bitch, and everybody in the comments know that. Everybody you know knows that. That's all that proof you gotta go. That's all the proof you need right there. The proof is that you're a bitch, you is a bitch, and you is a bitch, and that's all the proof we need. You is a bitch. We got all the proof. Everybody in the comments.
You think this is an
Everybody in the
argument?
comments. Everybody in the comments knows you're a bitch. Your mama knows you're a bitch. Your daddy knows you're a bitch.
See, guys, that's Jesus' love right there. He got Jesus inside of him for sure.
Hey, what up, man?
Hey, what you got?
So you don't believe in God?
No.
No. Why?
Where is he?
He's above the throne. You can't see the throne. You can't see
Okay.
it.
So why the fuck do you believe in the throne?
Can you see? Can you see air? Can you see air?
Yeah, we can put air into a cup. We can measure its pressure, its density, its volume.
So we need to put God into a cup.
No, you need some way of measuring God.
Wouldn't that be limiting God?
Well, that's your fault. That's your problem, not mine.
How is that my fault? It's actually your fault.
Because you're making the claim that God exists and you can't show it.
I can't. No one can show it.
So then, why do you believe it?
What do you think?
Sir,
how'd you get it? How did you get it? How did you get here? You came out here.
A cosmic Uber. They just dropped me off and said, "Here you go, Mike." They threw me on the earth. They dumped me on the planet. No,
That's right.
I didn't
You're one of
come
those
here.
people.
I
No, it's
didn't
all
get
right.
here
You're one of
from
those people. You think you came out of your father's testicles. I get it.
Yeah, one of those people who believes in biology. Oh, one of those people. They believe in science.
Yeah. Science is evolving every day, huh?
Yeah, and that's why you still believe in talking donkeys, because apparently your belief system doesn't change. It doesn't adapt to new facts. It just stays
Talking
back in
donkey?
the dark ages.
Are you talking about the talking donkey in the Bible?
Yeah.
That doesn't disprove God exists because there's a talking donkey.
Well, it shows that your belief has no evidence behind it, and it's nonsense. And shows that Noah's Ark never
What's
actually
your
happened.
all right, but what's your definition of evidence? Scientifical
Factual data that points to
prophecy, prophecy fulfillment? Like, what is it? Like, what do you need?
facts or data that point to a specific conclusion.
Facts that point to a specific conclusion.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example?
The evidence of evolution is in our DNA. We can see chromosomal fusions.
Oh, so you're an evolutionist, huh?
No, evolution's a fact. There's no evolutionist. That's nonsense. Evolution's a fact. Get over it. Now, give me evidence against. That's nonsense. Evolution's a fact. Get over it. Now, give me evidence against. That's nonsense.
Oh, you're echoing. Sorry, I'll come back later. I'm echoing.
Give me evidence against. Yeah, thank you. I'm still beating him on the echo. Still destroying him on the echo. Hey, what do you got?
Hello, brother. You hear me?
Unfortunately.
You hear me, brother?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, God is imaginary. I just want to say some things before I sleep because it's too late here. I don't want to argue with you. It could be imaginary, but it could be not. You want to say to me that you want me to prove if you're wrong? Yes, you are. You are God. If you have a Big Bang, quantum physics today is your religion. It's not your church. If you believe that church is...
Wait, so do you know what the Big Bang is?
Yep, I know exactly what the Big Bang is.
What's the Big Bang?
It's the beginning of everything.
No.
No, you don't believe in the Big Bang.
No, the Big Bang is not the beginning. The Big Bang's an expansion of space-time that could have always been. It's just a phase the universe goes through.
Obviously, something existed before the Big Bang. I'm not saying that nothing existed before. I'm just saying that you are a seed of consciousness. Aren't you?
I don't know what that means, sir. I'm not a seed.
Like you have consciousness in your head, like a human being. You have consciousness of being
Where is your evidence of God now?
everywhere, all the universe,
Everywhere. So
all the universe. You are a part of it. You are light. You are part of that. You are part of consciousness.
great. So you're saying everything's God.
Everything. You are part of it. Yes.
Okay. Even shit, my piss, my urine, it's all God.
Obviously, matter. Yeah. All.
Okay, great. So everything's God. What's the difference between saying everything's God and nothing's God?
Because nothing. It doesn't exist.
No. You didn't understand what I said. What's the difference between saying everything is God and nothing? No, there's nothing in the world that's God. What's the difference?
A huge difference because you are the example. You are from this expansion, as you say, from the Big Bang, that seeded the universe.
You're not understanding what I'm saying.
No, maybe or not.
Look, you have no symmetry breaker between these two worlds. One where there's a God and one where there isn't.
Yes.
If all you're doing is relabeling the universe God, well then of course God exists. You're just relabeling things that already. If I call this bottle God, of course God is real. But all
Yeah, no, but my belief is.
Hold on.
Yeah.
All you've done is add a label to something. A monkey can do that. I want to get somewhere novel. I want new data that I've never seen before that gets us to something supernatural. Do you have that data?
Yeah, but how I cannot tell you my experiences in life because it's mine to keep, and you don't have to believe them. I had experiences in my life that is prove me that
Like
something exists in the
Like
other
what?
side.
Like what? Make it quick. What did you experience?
My experience is mostly in dreams, things that happened to me, that I saw things that will happen and happened.
Like what?
like I saw when my father was gonna die, and he died.
Okay.
And I said I saw my father telling me to look something about somewhere, and I did look something about somewhere, and I found it.
Okay, sir, listen. You're saying that when did your father die after the dream? First of all, I'm sorry about your father, but
No, it's okay. It's okay.
how far, like when you had this dream, how long was it until he passed away?
2 months. I saw it. I woke up. I called my mother. I said, "Dad is gonna die," and he did.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that 2 months is a long time to recognize that it's probably just a coincidence.
Yeah, it is. I wouldn't say that to you. It's not just one, it's many. But I would not talk about me. What I want to say, because I see you many times making these debates, and I don't want to change your opinion about anything, because
Subscribe to the YouTube, guys. Everybody, please subscribe to the YouTube for more debate, more content.
Yeah, good night. Well, I've been listening to you and some of the people you're allowed to talk for a few minutes. Now, the topic of discussion you have, God is imaginary. Can you prove me wrong? Now, you're asking for a discussion based upon a premise that God is imaginary. But what is your concept of God to say that God is imaginary?
It's typically the Christian and Muslim versions.
Sorry, repeat? I didn't hear that clearly.
Typically the Christian or Muslim version of God.
Okay, all right. Reasonable, so. And, well, according to those literatures, those are what you call Abrahamic religions, right? So, or their version of God, Christians, Muslims, and Judaism as well, right? The Abrahamic religion concept of God.
Can you just give us reasons to believe in your God, please? Can you just do that?
I'm doing that, right? But you see, you have a concept of God. You see, it's our version of God that doesn't exist. But the guy just now, he gave you an idea of God, and you call it BS, basically, right? Fine.
Yeah. No, I didn't call it BS. See, look,
Technically,
guys, look. It is appealing to look around and say, look, everything's God, because the notion of God is so common in our society that it's easy and it's cute to say, yeah, I believe in God, it's energy, or it's everything. But the problem is you haven't done anything there. All you've done is relabel things that already exist. All you're saying is, look, this bottle is God. That's all you've done. You just called it a word. God is a word. It doesn't mean anything until you give it meaning. So I know it's cute to say God is everything, but it doesn't do anything for us. It doesn't get us anywhere new. And that's what I care about. I care about getting somewhere that I've never seen before, right? Understanding something that I've never seen before.
Hey, Mark. So you say God is imaginary. Can you prove me wrong? Yeah, so I would just start with an argument that I like to use. Would you accept that math is mind dependent or not?
Yeah, we want to.
Like the existence of math, is it dependent?
Didn't we talk about this already? Yeah, math is mind dependent, but math doesn't exist beyond the mind. It doesn't exist in the universe. It just exists in our minds.
Okay, but the problem is, would you say math is necessary?
No.
Like, so math doesn't exist necessarily?
What do you mean necessarily? Like,
You don't think that math
it doesn't have any ontology outside of the mind.
Okay. You see, the problem is I would argue that we can easily prove that it necessarily exists. Math is not contingent on the human mind. And the problem is with you, if you're saying that math is mind dependent and math contains infinite information, and math exists necessarily, we know humans don't exist necessarily. So the mind dependent, the
We know
mind
that.
math is
No,
dependent on must also be necessary.
no. We can. I can
Yeah,
be a necessitarian here and say that everything is necessary. I can do that as an atheist. Okay, so what? We're all
there's no
necessary.
evidence to support that the universe exists necessarily. Yeah, there's no reason to believe that we exist necessarily. Like, there's no reason to believe the
There's no
universe
reason.
exists
There's no,
necessarily.
look. We can say that we are necessary. It's perfectly fine to say so. I'm sure we don't have the proof of that. But the point is that it's a perfectly working model, right? You're saying that we can't be. Why not? Are you saying that?
Why do I believe we can't be necessary? I'm not saying it's impossible. I just haven't seen good evidence to support the
Great.
fact we are necessary.
So then math can be
So,
necessary. And what are you arguing here for? What makes your point true?
but if math, but if math is necessary and math is mind dependent, you would have to accept that there is a necessary mind which math exists within. That's the problem. You can't accept both to be true.
That could be our minds, right? It could
And
be
also,
our minds.
yeah, but then you'd have to rely that we are necessary in the same way math is necessary. But there's no evidence to provide that we are necessary. But there is evidence to
Right,
prove
but
that
it,
math is necessary.
but it's possible that we're necessary. That's how we operate in logic. If there's no contradiction in a given notion, it's possible, then it works. Math can be necessary if we're necessary. On an atheist paradigm, it works. Done. You don't need God.
Sure, but just because there's no contradiction in a possibility, that doesn't make the possibility rational. There's many possibilities that are
It
likely.
does make it irrational. That's literally what it means, right? There's no contradiction. It's a rational thing.
Yeah, just because there's no contradiction, I don't think that makes it a valid possibility. Sure, you can argue it makes it a possibility, but I don't
Yeah,
think it
it's a
makes it
possibility.
valid or even rational to believe in. Okay,
Why would it be
okay, so we
invalid?
get
Why
to
would it be
it's a
invalid?
possibility.
What makes it invalid?
Because for something to be valid, it needs more than just it's possible. It's possible that I could go and beat Usain Bolt in a 100-meter sprint, or his world record. But that doesn't mean that it's likely. There's no good evidence to support that. It's not good in a debate to just say it's
So
possible.
there's a difference between validity and soundness. I agree, but it's clearly valid for us to be necessary. It's valid.
Yeah, but that doesn't. I understand that it's valid. When I'm saying it's valid, I'm saying yeah, it can be possible. My argument is that it has no evidence to support it. So when you say to me, God is
You
imaginary,
have
what
no
if I
evidence of
respond,
God.
oh, it's possible?
Look, stop. You have no evidence of God either. The point is we have two competing hypotheses with the same amount of data. You're just presupposing it's God, and I'm not. So
Wait, so if
why
that's the
more
same
parts
amount of
of
data, then so you're saying we're equally as likely to be true?
Yeah, we don't have enough data to say either
You- you
or.
s-
The point is that you don't have evidence of your God.
Yeah, but you kind of concede your entire point, though. If we're both as likely to be true, then there is no debate. We're just
Yeah,
kind of
that's why you're wasting our time right
possibly
now, because
true.
you're just yapping, right? You have no evidence of God.
I'm not.
You
I'm
have
not
no
yapping.
evidence of God.
Yeah. I think definitely providing the point you accepted that math is mind independent, and we know math is necessary. We know that math was something that was discovered, and we know math contains infinite
No,
information.
we don't
And if
know
the
that.
universe
We
is
don't know
finite, it
that.
cannot.
No,
We do
we don't
know.
know that math was
Yes, we
discovered.
do.
No.
We do.
Okay, where's your study?
No,
Where's your
nobody.
evidence of that? Where's your evidence of that?
I'm on a TikTok live. I can't whip out peer-reviewed studies on my phone, but you can
Oh,
go
so,
and
so
research
okay,
yourself.
great. So, do you know any? Do you know of any studies that demonstrate math was discovered?
Not off the top of my mind, no. I don't
But
memorize the
did
studies. I don't know the
they
websites or
did they
anything. No, I can't.
did they exist though?
Yeah, they do. You can find a lot, or you can research yourself and find a lot of evidence that we discovered math, that it's not just something that we invented.
Great. So
And
unless
you
so
can
next time you
so
come up here, be prepared to give the evidence because I have no reason to believe you. Okay?
okay. So yeah, okay, we'll quickly. Okay, before you're not used to having a decent debate. So you because I can't exactly provide like a peer-reviewed source right now on a live. That doesn't mean we can't like go with the argument. Are you saying that the problem is? Would you accept that if math is discovered, and that math is mind dependent and humans aren't necessary, would you exist that means that math exists in the necessary mind of something beyond humans?
No,
Following
because
those premises?
I would say that math is mind dependent, but there's also Platonic atheists who think that math exists in some kind of Platonic realm that is a non-physical realm, and they're atheists, right? There doesn't have to be a God for us to have math platonically.
Well, that just undermines a naturalistic worldview. Then you get to already admitting
Yeah,
that the
there are
immaterial exists, and then you're one
yes,
step
there
closer to
look,
a God.
sir, look. There are atheists who are non-naturalists. Did you know that?
Yeah, I do. I was just. Are you a naturalist?
The point is that you don't need God, either or, whatever. Even if even if math is mind dependent and needs to exist outside of our minds, it doesn't mean that God exists.
Yeah, it would, because a mind that precedes the human mind that created the universe would kind of fit the description of God. I mean, maybe not an omnipotent God, maybe not your way, maybe
Well,
the biblical. I'm not
okay,
arguing
maybe
that.
maybe I misspoke. I'm sorry. Math could be mind independent.
Mind independent. Math could be mind. Okay, so the problem is if math is mind independent, if math is mind independent, then you would have to say that math exists necessarily. What, in the same way the universe exists necessarily?
Yeah.
Is that what you'd have to say? That it's the same as the universe? It's
Yeah,
identical?
you know that there are mathematical realists, right? In fact, many philosophers are mathematical realists. And they don't
Are
believe
you a
in God.
mathematical realist?
No, I'm an anti-realist, but it doesn't matter. The point is that it's possible to have a position in which there's no God and yet math be real.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well. Also, would you you talk about Christianity mostly, and you insult it the most. I just want to say, are you even aware of the evidence for the resurrection, like historically? Do you think it's bad evidence? How can you deny it? There's a lot, especially, and you laugh, but for example, I would ask you, when the Bible says that women discovered the risen Jesus, at that time period when women's opinions they weren't able to give testimony in a court of law, why would the Bible claim this if it's focused on convincing people of a lie? What would be the response? I'm just curious.
So again, this is a very dishonest argument because, first of all, we don't know what the women saw in the Bible. Okay. Number two, you're presupposing that they saw Jesus, but more importantly, just because people say something in a story doesn't make it true. Just because there's something that deviates from the norm in the book doesn't make it true.
No, I'm not saying that. But for example, if if let's say I'm trying to convince people of a lie, and I know that women's opinions are seen as untrustworthy, why would I ever say that it was women who discovered it? I'm not saying that means that they saw the risen Jesus. I'm saying that it contradicts
Look, I don't see how it follows that because women discovered Jesus, that means God's real. How does that follow?
No, yeah. So I'm not arguing that. We're just starting on a first point. I'm just saying for you, what would be your answer to why would the Bible claim women? Why would they use the claim for women? Why at that time period? What would be your answer?
Because women can see things too.
Any good reason?
Because women can see things.
Yeah, but they have knowledge that their opinions. They have knowledge that their opinions are going to be thrown out. Why claim that?
No,
that's really
not
stupid.
true.
If I'm trying to convince people.
Look. It's not that back then whenever a woman says something, they would just say, "No, you're wrong." It's just that.
Yeah, they would.
No, they wouldn't. Look, back then, men, of course, they had more power than women, of course. But the problem is that you're assuming that all women's opinions would be thrown out. No. And of course, I mean, look at Mother Mary, right? That's a woman. That's a female. They took them. They take her seriously.
Yeah.
So it's not like every woman they just, oh, you're wrong. No, of course they would take their opinions.
Yeah, the authority. No, the authorities and the Romans in a court of law at that time period, that women couldn't even give a testimony. They couldn't legally give a testimony at the time.
And does that mean that they couldn't?
And my point is
that give one, and yet still be part of the story.
No, my point is if I was to write a book and I was to say to make that claim, it would be stupid of me if I'm trying to convince people of a lie to use the gender seen as untrustworthy. In the same way, on top of the fact that they died for their belief, all of these things increase the likelihood of
No,
testimony of
no.
evidence.
Again, you keep presupposing these things. They didn't die for their beliefs. There's no evidence to that.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Where?
Josephus records. Tacitus records very clearly. Sorry, that the followers of Jesus were persecuted heavily.
That doesn't mean
Tacitus records
that
that.
doesn't mean they died for their beliefs. That doesn't mean they were martyrs.
Yeah, we know that though. We know there was martyrs. We know that early Christians were killed for the first 330 years.
Demonstrate
man.
that. How do you know that these people were martyrs? How do you know that the disciples were martyrs?
So I believe the Bible records it, and Tacitus records it, and Josephus may record it. I'm not sure of the exact documents. I've read
Tacitus
quite a
and
lot. lately.
Josephus are interpolations. Okay, they're interpolations. They're after the fact. They're not contemporary. I'm talking about biblical sources.
They were. Yeah, so Tacitus was within 50 to 100 years after Jesus. Historically, that's in ancient history. That's really close, like really close, actually. You know,
Okay,
if you want
so
to deny that,
it's
then.
close, but not no cigar, right? Like the problem is that it's not contemporary. It's not a contemporary eyewitness account. Where in the Bible does it say they were martyrs for Jesus?
I don't know the exact verse. I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't provide that right now. But I just want to ask you, if you are so against the resurrection, like you don't believe it happened, what would it take you to believe in the resurrection of Jesus? Just curious. What would it take you to believe it?
Evidence.
Okay, what kind? Give me an example.
Look, I don't know what would convince me because I don't know what a resurrection is. I don't know what evidence of a
Okay, so if you
resurrection.
don't know,
Neither do you. You just pretend
if
that.
you don't know what would
pretend that there
convince
is
you,
evidence.
yeah. Okay. So if you don't know, the problem is if you don't know what would convince you of a resurrection, how do you know you just haven't missed it? If you don't know what would convince you, you have nothing to identify what would even
Guess
verify
what you've
it.
given.
Therefore, you
Look,
could have
look,
missed
look,
it, right?
look. What you've given me so far can be explained through other scenarios. That's why it's not good reason to me. I don't know what a resurrection would look like, so I don't know what evidence would be like. But from what you've told me so far, you have not given me any convincing data that demonstrates that there was such a thing. You could have missed the
Okay,
evidence.
but how? But if you don't even know what, but if you don't know what evidence would convince you, then how can you even? I don't know. For me to say that, well, I don't know what would convince me. Well, then you could have just missed the evidence.
Then give it.
Like,
Where's
if
the
you don't even
evidence?
know what would convince
Look, that's why I'm here asking thousands of people for evidence of God. And what you told me today was,
Yeah.
oh, look, Mike, in the story,
Mhm.
this person said that he saw Jesus. That's not enough. That is not going to convince anybody with a skeptical eye.
No,
Nobody will accept that nonsense.
no,
Give me something actually
no, yeah.
worthy of evidence. Data and facts that are falsifiable
Okay.
that point to something.
Okay.
Evidence is falsifiable by nature.
Okay.
It's not just a testimony.
Okay. So my point was never because the Bible says people saw something, this is true. My argument was from psychology. Okay, the argument is that at that time period, like I said, they wouldn't claim women saw it if they know their opinions were seen as low. That's just how that's something that it's a good point. Whether you like it or not, I'm not saying that it makes it true. I'm just saying it raises the likelihood. That's it. So I cannot
It
provide
doesn't.
you 1,000,000%. I can't prove it. Just yeah, but it does. It does increase the chance.
How? How does it raise the
It
likelihood?
does, and that's fine. Okay, let me if I ask the chat or you specifically, if I say to you, okay, I've wrote a historical event. I'm gonna claim that the gender seen as untrustworthy were the first ones to see it. I'm gonna get 11 people to all die for that claim. Does this raise the likelihood of my claim? Does it
No.
raise the likelihood at all?
No.
How does it not raise the? You don't think dying for a claim raises testimonial evidence like the likelihood?
Okay, let's use this against you now. Jihadists die for Allah. Does that raise the likelihood of Muhammad or Allah being true? Because they died for their belief in
They're
Allah.
dying for. Yeah, the difference between dying for a philosophy and dying for a claim for what you have seen is very different.
Oh, now you think Christianity is philosophy?
Dying
No.
for
Christianity is a religion. It's just
no,
as bad
I'm
as
saying
Islam. Now,
no.
again, answer
That's
my
what I'm saying.
question.
Jihadis are dying.
Answer
They're
my
dying.
question.
Okay.
Is the fact that jihadists died for Allah, is that evidence of Islam?
Okay. Yeah. So if I'm reviewing a case and people die for a claim, I think it increases the likelihood of it being true. I'm not saying this makes it
Okay,
true.
so
However, the
do we
difference
have
between
evidence of Allah? Do
okay,
we have evidence of Allah? Because people die for
okay, if you
Allah.
well, can I just finish? Can I just finish? The difference
It's a
is with
yes or no.
jihadists,
It's a
they're
yes
being
or no.
promised 72. One second, I just want to respond. They're being promised 72 virgin wives. They have a motive. The original disciples did not. That's the difference.
They're
Okay, so
being
dying for a
promised
religious
eternal.
claim, like
They're
a
being
philosophy.
promised heaven. They're being promised heaven.
Yeah, but they're not being like Jesus never said that die for me and you'll go heaven. That was never Jesus's claim. Jesus
But
never said get killed
they
by the
were
Romans
given a
and you'll
reward for dying, right? They were given a reward because they would get to heaven.
Okay.
You
So
still
when
have
Allah is openly claiming in the Quran that when Allah is claiming in the Quran that if you die as a martyr, you're going to get virgin wives and you're going to get all these goods, that's very different to the original disciples who were killed brutally, crucified upside down, put in boiling water, etc., who were not offered any kind of benefit. They
again,
weren't,
you're
at least
again.
not on the
In
level that
fact,
Islam is.
this is actually now you're question begging here because you're adding in the notion that they died for Jesus, which there's still no evidence that they died for Jesus. There's no evidence that the disciples are martyrs. Period. But again, the sheer fact that somebody died for a belief, or the sheer fact that somebody, a woman said something that back then wouldn't be likely, that doesn't mean that it's more likely that Jesus rose. You have not given us a worthy case at all today. I'm not convinced. And neither is most biblical scholars.
All right. Well,
This isn't just me talking. Like, this is like
you've
biblical-
already, you've already said that you don't know what would convince you. So the fact that
That's
you don't even know what would
That's
convince
irrelevant.
you,
That's irrelevant. That is irrelevant. What's relevant is what
it's not
do you
irrelevant,
have?
because
What
how do you
data
know? How do you
have?
know you haven't missed it? How do you know you haven't missed the evidence if you don't even know? You can't even verify the difference between
How do you know it's
convincing and not
how do
convincing.
you
So how
know
can
it's
you even know?
evidence? How do you know it's evidence?
Because I know what would convince me of resurrection. You don't.
What would convince you?
Historical evidence, a lot of historical evidence, manuscript evidence, no internal contradictions, people dying for the
Manuscripts don't
claim,
prove zombies.
etc.
I'm sorry, sir, but no manuscript proves a zombie existed. I'm sorry.
No, but I would believe in something with more manuscript evidence. I do think that helps. But again, it's not my job to convince you. Okay, it's my job to provide evidence. It's not my job to convince you.
And
That
you okay,
that's
and you
never
failed.
been. That's
And
not
you-
the person's.
And you have failed miserably. Next.
Can you
Hey,
hear
what do you
me?
got?
What makes you think God is not real? If you were to die now, would you wake yourself up? What powers do
What?
you think you have? Because
If I died
ev-
right now, would I wake myself up?
yeah,
I'd be dead, ma'am. I'd be dead. I couldn't wake up anymore.
no. What I'm trying to say is, what powers do you think you have that makes you think God doesn't exist? What powers make you think you better than God?
In education,
Education brought by who? Because that's God's wisdom.
reality. We live in reality. We don't live in God's
Whose
kingdom.
reality? Who created the reality around you? Do trees make themselves? The birds, where do they come from? The fish in the sea? Who
Okay, so
separated the sea from the land?
the trees come from the tree maker. The
And
tree
who
maker
is
is all
that?
around us, and he's always making trees. He gets sticks, he glues them together, he gets
Who do you
leaves, he
call
glues
the
them to
tree
the stick.
maker? Who then do you
And
call the
the
tree
fish,
maker? Isn't
oh,
that
the fish,
God?
that's the fish maker, okay? He gets a little fish, he gets the little scales, he glues them on, he gets a little walking thing, a robot,
Oh, so I'm
and he makes them
glad you
move.
know there's a God. You just call him a maker of fish, a maker of trees, and a maker of human being.
Yeah.
So you just call him a different word. It's not that he's
And the
imaginary.
clouds have a cloud
You know
maker.
he's
He's
real.
up in the sky making the clouds. He gets gas and makes them into clouds and fluffy clouds. No, ma'am, it's called science. It's called physics, right? It's called nature.
No. Physics is nothing but atoms in the sphere that God has created. What is the ozone layer?
Prove it.
It's
Prove
the
it.
God that
Prove it.
created
Prove it.
between heaven and earth. Because you can analyze
Ma'am,
it and
ma'am,
say the gases that make the ozone layer, you then think it's man-made.
ma'am,
It's not
ma'am,
man-made.
ma'am. Can you demonstrate that God made atoms?
Yeah, you are
Great.
alive, aren't you? You are here.
You're not. Next. One more guess, guys. Please subscribe to the YouTube.
Hello.
Hey, what do you got?
Well, I got the point that everything's made with such perfection. Like the idea that humans are made so perfect. Everything around us, like every system in the world is just made so perfect.
Really? So why do people get cancer?
That's a very difficult question. So if
Yeah, it is.
if God exists, right, and we're given free will, which we are, there has to be like a right and a wrong, right? There has to be a good and evil. So if there is good and there is evil,
Oh, he left. You left? Okay, poor guy. He was nervous. I do feel bad sometimes when people up here, they're nervous and they're okay. What do I say? But it takes courage to come up here, and I appreciate that. But the idea that there has to be good and evil, that idea has it's based in intuition. It's based in the idea that it's a very egocentric idea, right? It's because we don't like when there's evil but no good. We don't like when there's a world where there's good but no evil. We don't like it. We want this justice system. It's an expression of what we want and desire, because we all go through bad times and we all go through good times. And in the bad times, we wish there was something good. And in the good times, people wish that there's evil things. People think that for example, if I'm on top, people want to take that away from me. They want something bad to happen to me, right? So these different notions of good and evil are very human. And that's why we have them. But it's all subjective. And there's no need for there to be only good or only evil. I think that there's no need for there to be a dynamic between the two. God is a very egocentric thing as well. So that's where God comes from. The notion of God comes from our want to get rewards, to get hope, to get guidance, to get resources, happiness, love, peace. I mean, look at how much in alignment God is with our desires as people. We all want love. We all want peace. We all want to be happy. What does God give you? Peace, love, and happiness. But why is it that we never believe in gods that are antithetical to our desires? Ever think about that? Why do we never believe in gods that want that give us badness and torture and chaos? We never believe in those gods. We always believe in the gods that give us the good stuff, that give us our desires. And that's, to me, a big sign, a big red flag that God is not real. And the world isn't perfect, and perfection's a relative term. But Have you seen the world around you? Yes, I have looked around, and guys, I agree with you that the world is wondrous, that there's a lot of great things about the universe. There's a lot of mystery and majesty in the world. The human body is an amazing machine. It's an amazing thing. Life is an amazing thing. Love is an amazing thing. But they're not amazing only because God. They're amazing because they're natural too. They could be amazing naturally. And I would argue even more amazing naturally. The point is, the stuff around us, the universe around us, it doesn't need a God. It can be wondrous and amazing without one. And we not only can explain things with physics and biology and science, but we can still get that sense of awe and wonder and reverence by recognizing that it is natural. That everything about, I mean, look at who we are as people, thinking, we're breathing, we're conscious, and yeah, this is amazing. But look how amazing it is because it's natural, because a particular configuration of atoms in the brain can yield this experience. A particular configuration of matter can yield a human being, can yield love, can yield all these amazing things that we love and enjoy. And the fact that it is natural makes life even more amazing to me. Because if God exists, well, of course he can make this. In fact, God could do way better than this. God could have made a world where no kid starves. God could have made a world where kids don't get cancer, where nobody suffers from diseases like that. But instead he did. He chose to make a world where people suffer great death and harm. He could have done way better than this, though. So if God designed this world, he did a bad job because of his properties. But if we are natural, if there are natural reasons as to why we are this way, well, that's in itself an amazing thing. What if he gave us free will and made the world bad to test us and how good we are inside? But look how pathetic that is. That's a God who's like the Jigsaw from the Saw movies. He puts us through these harmful places, these terrible things. Just for what? To say, you learned something? No. Why would we have to go through all this torture? What's the lesson in kids dying of cancer? What is the lesson in children being bombed? What is the lesson there? I'm sorry, but I don't see it. There's a vast amount of suffering in this world that people go through, and almost none of it is necessary. And for a Christian, you have a lot of explaining to do. And but from my point of view, shit happens. And yes, we don't like when bad shit happens, but it does. But under my view, using science, we can try to fix these problems as much as we can. We can try to fix nature, the flaws in nature, we can kind of fix it. But under your view, as a Christian, you're just going to say, well, God allowed it. It's his plan. There's no motive to fix things because, I mean, look at what people are so against the vaccine. People are so against technology because they believe God is what they should be following instead. Right? Look at the negatives of believing in God. So from my point of view, not only can we do a better job in explaining things and getting purpose from reality without a God, but we can actually have better, more prosperous outcomes under a secular view. Science can help, but there's still limitations. No, there is no limits to science. There's no limits. Who created the universe? Well, there's an idea in inflationary cosmology where empty space, if you take out all the air around you, take all the air from the space around you, you take out all the energy, take out all the molecules of air, you have a vacuum of empty space. What is space made of? Quantum fields. There's energy. It turns out that even in empty vacuums of space, there's energy fluctuating in there. That's what the universe could have came from. Empty space. This vacuum energy that randomly fluctuates. It yields inflationary particles that then turn into baryonic matter that we know today. It's an amazing idea called a quantum fluctuation. And that's how the universe likely got here. A universe from nothing, essentially. Nothing can produce something, depending on what you mean by nothing. But the point is that it's good to ask these questions. Where do we come from? How did the earth get here? But the problem is that the universe is under no obligation to make sense to you. Some things don't make sense, especially in quantum mechanics. The universe is mysterious and doesn't make sense all the time. It's not always intuitive. So there will always be mystery. There will always be the sense of we don't know something, that there's an unknown. But it's our job to continue searching for the answers if they're out there. And the answers may not always align with what we want them to be. It might be the case that when you die, nothing happens. That's it. Instead of being so scared of dying and going nowhere, why not embrace that? Embrace the fact that we are here for this mere moment, together, learning, experiencing. And maybe the universe isn't always what we want it to be. Maybe God doesn't have to exist. Maybe there is no God. Maybe there is no afterlife. There is no heaven. Look at that perspective, right? There's another perspective of the world. And from your perspective, it might seem sad that there's no God. But to me, it's a much more amazing world without one. Because all we got is each other. All we have is our friends, our family, this one life. Look at how much more valuable we become when God doesn't exist. Look at how much more valuable we are. This one dot, this one pale blue dot. When you deconstruct all these views and you go down to the bare bones, and you let go of these expectations that there has to be an afterlife, that there has to be God, I have to get justice, there has to be good and evil, right? You let go of all that nonsense. You forget about the entire world and you just recognize that all you have is yourself. All you know is you exist, and that's it. And then from there you work your way up. And you base your beliefs on the evidence and facts. It's a way more prosperous route to go through. Because instead of being focused on God and that's the only answer, and if that answer is false, your entire world collapses, right? You shouldn't be sad if I say there's no God. That shouldn't make you sad. If it does, it means that belief is a toxic belief. Beliefs don't matter as much as you think they do. And that's the crux of the toxicity in religion. It makes you think that your belief is sacred, it can't be touched, and that's all you have, is your one belief. And if anything deviates from that belief, your whole world shatters. Oh, it's sad, we don't have an afterlife. It's so sad there's no God. That in itself is sad to me. Because I've become comfortable with the uncomfortable. I've become comfortable with the fact that there's no afterlife. And for that, I'm free. My mind is free. I have clarity in my life. Yes, there are some things I don't know, many things that we don't know. But I have a clear thinking, a clear thought process. Whereas the religious person is so muddied, their minds are so muddied by these beliefs, an afterlife, the end times, God, He's coming back, Savior. Look at all these expectations they have. It disturbs the focus. Whereas me, I'm much more clear. I can think clearly than I've ever thought before. And it's because of my secular vantage point. And also, religion has a way of being a vehicle for hatred and bigotry and racism and sexism. The point is that I'm here to say that there are other views, there's other perspectives of the world that are not only just as valuable, but also more prosperous, more healthy, more powerful, more potent in its ability to produce clarity. Why don't you accept that people can have whatever beliefs they want? I do accept that. I'm not here to say you can't believe in God. What I'm here to say is that your belief is not sacred. Your belief is just that, a belief. It doesn't deserve being exempt from criticism. It doesn't deserve to be this untouchable thing. No, beliefs deserve to be criticized, especially yours. And what if you're wrong? Well, I'd rather be wrong and honest than right and dishonest. See, if you're a Christian or Muslim, the only reason why you'd be right is if you were dishonest and you just had faith in God. You would only be right by chance, out of your angst, out of your fear of being punished. That's the only way you'd be right. But in my view, sure, I'll be wrong, but I was honest. I didn't just believe for no reason. I didn't just believe because I was fearful. I didn't just believe because I was selfish and wanted to believe this way I get to heaven. I get the reward for believing. No. And to me, it's like, I'd rather I'd rather go to hell than be in heaven, worshiping God forever and not being able to be me, right? Like, if we go to heaven, do I still have the same mentality as I do now? Do I still have the same skepticism? Do I still have the same inquiry? Do I have the same curiosity? Because if I don't have those things, why do I even have a life? Is that even life to me? No. To me, life must include the ability to be skeptical, to think, to ask questions. And if I can't do that in heaven, I don't want that. I'd rather be me, be honest with the dignity I have, than to be a slave, a mental slave. And So to me, it's a win-win, because I would rather not be in heaven. I'd rather be me. And if your God cannot accept that, then your God is not worthy of my worship. So I've come to this peace where I don't care about the afterlife, because I am me who I am now, and always will be, no matter what. Because I'm guided by the evidence and facts. I'm not guided by fear. I'm not guided by rewards. I'm guided by facts and evidence and data and rationality. And if your God's going to punish me for not being rational, well, then your God's not rational. He's emotional. Yeah. But another reason why I do this is because there are people out there, probably many of you guys in the comment section, who feel isolated because many people don't feel like they have anybody to talk to about their belief or lack of belief in God. They feel estranged. They feel outspoken, outnumbered by religious. And I'm here to say that no, there are people out here that are like-minded, that there are people out here who are fighting against bad ideas. And that it's okay to speak up. It's okay to speak out against religion, against bad ideas. And more importantly, beliefs are not sacred. So, thank you guys, and please subscribe to the YouTube for more of my content. I have videos on science. I have videos on arguments against God. You should definitely if you guys like this kind of content, you will like that. So please subscribe to me. We just surpassed about 4 million subscribers. 3 million. Explain how the feeling of love came from matter and energy. Well, the brain is a very complex thing. The brain is a very amazing network of neurons, brain cells. And your brain cells are not much different from your regular cells. But brain cells have particular abilities to send particular electrochemical impulses that could produce thoughts. And some chemicals in your brain, like dopamine and oxytocin, these certain compounds can produce certain thoughts and certain thought patterns. So love is a process in which these things are being secreted in the brain and then generate certain thoughts. In the limbic system, the brain is a very, very complex machinery with several parts of it, each do their own job, processing different thoughts and emotions. And that's what love is. Love is that process in the brain, which is an amazing thing. But it's just chemical, biochemical. Nothing more. And what you're experiencing right now, right? Me breathing, me talking, living, right? What we call life. This itself is an electric activity every one of your cells generates about 0.0 or about 4 megavolts, millivolts of electricity. Every one of your cells in your body can generate electricity. And through that electricity, through ions moving through your nerves, that's what experience is. You're experiencing the world through a bioelectricity. That's what we are. And that's what consciousness is. And through these elaborate systems throughout your body, like looking, right? What's happening here? Light is coming in from the outside world, going into my eye, my con cells in the back of my eye get stimulated. Those send certain signals back to the brain. My brain then produces certain thoughts, which then give me this map of what I see now. The visual cortex is what you see through. You don't see through your eyes. The eyes are just the filters that filter in the light from the outside world. But your brain is what's seeing. That's why you dream. That's why you can still see when your eyes are closed, because it's your brain producing these images, not your eyes. Your eyes are just the filters for light. But the brain is what generates this map of reality. Same with the ears and the tongue. The tongue, you don't taste with your tongue, you taste with your brain. You don't hear with your ears, you hear with your brain. Your body is a filter, right? All these organs, all these sensory organs, filter in all this energy from the outside world. They stimulate certain cells get stimulated, and those signals get sent to your brain, and your brain generates your map of reality. The thoughts, the feelings, the sights, the smells, the tastes, the sounds you hear, all produced by the brain. That's amazing. It's an amazing thing to be alive. Not much like us out there. So, the more you learn about reality, the more you appreciate it. I appreciate being alive. I appreciate life. I'm vegan. Why? Why am I vegan? Because I love life. I enjoy life. I don't want to take it away from anybody. So I don't do it. And a lot of that has to do with science. A lot of my ethics, a lot of my thoughts and views have to do with science, fundamentally. Because science is a way of seeing the world. The more I learn, the more I appreciate things, the more I appreciate you, the more I appreciate everything around me, water, the food I eat, the house I'm in. The more you understand it, the more things become amazing. Because you recognize that the bigger picture is that these things are rare and valuable. For that, they're valuable. So, to me, life is very valuable because there's no God. Because all we got is each other and this experience. Forever, how long we have it for. Don't take it for granted. Friends, my family, my career, my job, learning, science, nature, travel, sports, right? All these things give us purpose and meaning. Because that's all we got. And to a larger extent, that's all we'll ever know. All we'll ever know is this experience, as far as we can see. And it's rare. It's a rare experience. Not many things in this world have to get this experience. So let's embrace it. Let's treat each other better. Let's do things not because God says to do it, but because we want to, because we see the value in that person, right? Don't just give to the poor because God says to do it, but do it because you care about that person, because you understand who they are. That's morality. That's morality. When you do things because you want to, because you really care about the other person, not because you're told to. That's orders. Those are orders. It's not morality. So do you guys start to see how rich life can be without God? I would argue even more rich. I would argue that my life is much more valuable to me, much more amazing to me, much more rich to me, because there's no God, because I realize there's no God. And retrospectively, I look back on my old life where I was a Christian, and I recognize that I wasn't able to extract the true meaning, the true beauty from life as I can today. I can do it in a much more efficient way. Whereas in the past, again, I was muddied up by God, this notion of God, that I wasn't able to really see the beauty in life. I wasn't able to really see the richness of life without God. But now I can. And it means everything to me, because this is all we got. Whether or not there's a God, if you're still not convinced, whether or not there's a God, we'll never be here again. Let's face it. We'll never be in this position again. We'll never be this life will be gone. We'll never be here again, ever. So think about that. Think about life today. And if all we got is this life, then it means everything.